Chapter 804. In front of the cave, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng whispered to each other. Nan Gongsheng was surprised by Zhao Feng's bold idea, follow the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. They had seen the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's strength before, and it could even instantly kill Void God Realm Kings. Furthermore, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had been sealed for tens of thousands of years and was extremely weak. Its strength wasn't even 1% of its peak. Furthermore, on top of this, there was also the origin sealing divine chain, which further restricted and confined his strength. Once the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon recovered some of its strength, even a mystic light realm sacred lord would have to retreat. Seng. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng carefully followed the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon on the ground. They didn't dare to get too close, they maintained a distance of several thousand miles or even 10,000 miles. No matter what, safety was the most important. Luckily, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's aura shook everything within several dozen thousand miles. Heaven and earth changed color wherever it passed, and everything bowed down to it. It was very easy to sense it. Along the way, some of the geniuses and elites felt or even personally witnessed the power of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, and their hearts shook. What no one knew was that, there were two people following the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon from 10,000 miles away. However, reality and imagination were always different. At the start, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were afraid of getting too close. However, they soon realized that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's speed was becoming faster and faster. Maybe the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's limbs were a bit stiff when it first broke through the seal, so its speed increased after stretching. Slowly, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng found it hard to keep up. The divine illusion dimension was of a higher level, and the pressure of heaven and earth was stronger. Even flying through the air used more energy than the outside world. On the other hand, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's physical body was extremely strong, and it could easily travel through the air. Half a day later, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng lost track of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, and they couldn't sense the destructive aura. Don't worry. We can follow its aura and follow it. Zhao Feng had a calm expression. Back in the day, he and the Emperor of Death had engaged in a long-lasting battle. In terms of tracking, Zhao Feng had some experience. Because of the advantage of the god's spiritual eye, it was his forte. Even if the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's aura was no longer present, Zhao Feng could still use the traces left behind to get a general direction. The two of them simply stabilized their speed. Nan Gongsheng even had the time to try and communicate with the evil god crystal in the spatial domain. In a short period of time, he was still unable to control and use the power of the evil god crystal. However, the divine crystal was already embedded in his spatial domain and could be slowly assimilated. A few days later, Zhao Feng suddenly felt a wisp of wicked power from Nan Gongsheng's body. If it weren't for the fact that he was so close to Nan Gongsheng, he wouldn't have noticed it. Nan Gongsheng, if you assimilate the evil god crystal into your core, its wicked power will first affect your spatial domain and then your crystal core source. In the end, it will even distort your temperament. Zhao Feng sternly warned. I know what I'm doing. I'll refine and eliminate the wicked power. Nan Gongsheng had a decisive expression. At this moment, the evil god crystal was embedded in his spatial domain and became the core of it. Invisibly, the power of the evil god crystal was currently assimilating his spatial domain. Nan Gongsheng felt his strength increase, and he was overjoyed instead of being shocked. He didn't believe that the power of the evil god crystal could distort him, a void god realm king. Even if it did, he could ask an emperor or even a sacred lord to help him when he returned to the clan. Within the divine illusion dimension, there was a blue crystal-like lake in the center of an ancient forest. The elites of several forces gathered around the lake. They were either 2-star or 3-star void god realm kings. In the air above the lake, a normal-looking male in green stood proudly with his hands behind his back. This male had a normal appearance, but his eyes were immeasurably deep, as if he had been through the cycle of reincarnation. Facing him were 3 Void God Realm kings, 2 young prodigies and a middle-aged male in yellow robes. Xian Wuheng, do you really think you can take the blue crystal tear for yourself and go against the 3 of us kings? One of the youths had a grim expression. His robes were slightly torn, and his hair was messy. He seemed to be in a ruffled state. In terms of strength, he wasn't much weaker than Gu Chaoji from Earth Spirit Hall. These 3 kings had some injuries, and they looked at the male in green with respect and wariness. Xian Wuheng's expression didn't change as he spoke. A domain-level king and 2 early-stage Void God Realm kings aren't my match. Xian Wuheng. Don't go too far. One of the yellow-robed, middle-aged men shouted angrily. He spread his arms, and 2 sparkling yellow light dragon images appeared behind him. They crisscrossed with each other, looking very lifelike. When at the same time, a heavy earth-yellow spatial domain appeared around the 3 kings. Xian Wuheng smiled. A spatial domain of this level isn't enough. He faced the 3 kings with one hand behind his back and the other slowly pushed forward. Boom! 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 Green trees appeared in the air and turned into spikes that instantly pierced through the earth elemental spatial domain of the middle-aged elder in yellow robes. Wah! The middle-aged elder in yellow robes spat out a mouthful of blood, and the spatial domain that he had created for many years almost crumbled. This Xian Wuheng has clearly just reached the early stage Void God Realm, but he's able to control spatial domains so easily. What kind of monster is he? Around the lake, the members of the 2-star and 3-star sects who had been waiting for an opportunity were deeply shocked. Have you realized that Xian Wuheng has only used one hand from beginning to end? The eyes of a pretty female in a rainbow-colored dress twinkled. Indeed. Xian Wuheng had one hand behind his back as he faced the 3 kings with the other. As expected of a genius ranked 39th on the Imperial Genius Rankings. Xian Wuheng's true strength is probably even higher than his ranking. An elder at the half-step king couldn't help but exclaim. Peng! Boom! Xian Wuheng and the 3 kings exchanged a few blows, and there were close to 10 half-step kings nearby that fought from afar. Facing all of this, Xian Wuheng's expression was as calm as a lake, and he only used one hand to fight back. Bam! 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 The figures of the 3 kings were suddenly pushed back by a weird 5-colored spatial domain. Xian Wuheng. You win. The youth in green wiped away the blood from his mouth. The battle had reached this point. Xian Wuheng probably hadn't even used his full strength. Everyone accepted their defeat. Xian Wuheng smiled faintly. Then this blue crystal tear is mine. The blue crystal tear wasn't a normal resource, it could increase the strength of one's state of existence and soul at the same time. With this blue crystal tear, Xian Wuheng's cultivation at the early stage Void God Realm would become even stronger. Right at this moment, something unexpected happened. Who in the distant sky, an earth-shattering aura of destruction surged over. At this instant, shocking scenes appeared in heaven and earth. Dark clouds rolled, and wind and lightning intertwined. A strong tremor came from the ground, and lava started to erupt. What is that aura? The elites of the 2-star and 3-star forces felt an instinctive fear and uneasiness in their bodies and souls. As time passed, the aura of destruction became stronger and stronger, and it was accompanied by a terrifying draconic bloodline from the ancient era. The bloodline of the dragon race? Such a powerful aura of destruction. Xian Wuheng's eyebrows jumped. Everyone looked into the distance and could faintly see a large black figure in the shape of a dragon. Everything was destroyed wherever it went. Not good. Xian Wuheng seemed to see something, and his figure blurred as he dove into the forest near the lake. A while later, the figure of an enormous black-scaled dragon approached the forest. These ants from the outside world. The black destruction serpent dragon had a disdainful expression as it waved its claw. Whoosh! A faint black tornado instantly expanded to 10 miles, dozens of miles, 100 miles, several hundred miles. Run, what kind of terrifying being is this? This black destruction serpent dragon seems to have the bloodline of the destruction dragon race. The disciples and elites of the 2-star and 3-star forces scattered in all directions so that they wouldn't be caught by the black destruction serpent dragon in one fell swoop. In their vision, large tracts of the endless forest were turned into ashes. A large number of beasts and rare beasts died in this disaster. A small number of clan members didn't manage to escape in time and died as well. Whoosh! The large dragon-shaped figure flashed across the area. From the looks of it, the black destruction serpent dragon was just destroying everything in front of it and didn't pay any attention to these little things. Half a day later, on a mound in the depths of the divine illusion dimension, boom! Boom! A few hill monsters that were as large as mountains were attacking a handsome and elegant young man. These mountain monsters were similar to the ones that Zhao Feng had met in the Floating Crest Palace, but they were several to 10 times bigger, and their auras were even more ancient and profound. The battle power of each mountain king is close to a peak-tier king, and their defense is monstrous. The elegant youth's eyebrows furrowed slightly. Every hill king had a powerful gravitational field, and any target that approached it would be affected by the gravitational field. Some kings that had just reached the Void God realm would find it hard to even take a single step when facing the mountain kings, let alone fight. Furthermore, the elegant youth was currently being attacked by 4 or 5 mountain monsters. Chaos God Technique, Mark of Heaven. The elegant young man let out a light shout, his 2 fingers drawing in the air. In the next instant, dozens of cracks appeared in the air and stacked on top of each other. Whoosh! Whoosh! In an instant, the nearby mountain kings were torn into pieces by the cracks in the air. At the same time, a scarlet red head appeared in the dark brown hills in the distance. The scarlet red head was covered in scales and had a pair of horns. Its bead-like eyes stared at the elegant youth in front of it. This Xianyuan Wen is indeed worthy of being a peerless prodigy of the 4-star sky suspension palace. He has already comprehended an incomplete heaven-grade divine skill at such a young age. The scarlet red head murmured in a low tone. Shua. After killing these massive mountain giants, Xianyuan Wen collected their mountain cores and continued to explore. I'm almost at the core of the divine illusion dimension, ancient god's mysterious palace. Xianyuan Wen looked forward and took a deep breath. As the favored son of a distant 4-star sect, the secrets he knew were even better than those of ordinary forces. Luckily, the divine illusion dimension had connected to the core of the divine illusion dimension and placed it near the continent zone. Right at this moment, a dragon pressure that could destroy heaven and earth appeared from the other side of the clouds. The invisible dragon pressure shook everything within tens of thousands of miles. Even someone with Xianyuan Wen's bloodline and strength felt his heart tremble. What a terrifying aura! What? Its target seems to be the ancient god's mysterious palace as well. Chapter 805. Its target seems to be the ancient mysterious mansion as well. Xianyuan Wen looked at the black destruction serpent dragon as it charged toward the depths of the divine illusion dimension. Wherever the black serpent dragon went, powerful astral winds of destruction destroyed all things. Countless living beings trembled and wailed. Even someone as strong as Xianyuan Wen felt oppressed by the colossal destruction dragon might, not daring to approach. All of a sudden, a pondering look appeared on Xianyuan Wen's handsome face. The ancient god's mysterious palace in the divine illusion dimension was a secret that very few people knew about. This time, the area where the divine illusion dimension overlapped with the continent was the center of the divine illusion dimension. Otherwise, normal paths wouldn't be able to reach the ancient god's mysterious palace. However, at this very moment, the sudden appearance of the black destruction serpent dragon had disrupted Xianyuan Wen's plans for the ancient god's mysterious palace. This way, the secret of the ancient god's mysterious abode would definitely not be hidden from those who were interested. The black destruction serpent dragon's aura was too great, and it would definitely alarm many people. There are gains and losses. Xian Yuanwen quickly smiled in relief. With this black serpent dragon as the vanguard, we might be able to disrupt the rules and gods' forbidden formation in the ancient god's mysterious mansion. Ka-cha! He took out a strange talisman and crushed it. A strong but hidden ripple spread to other parts of the divine illusion dimension. Normal methods of communication were restricted in the divine illusion dimension, but there were still some special items. Afterward, Xian Yuanwen leaped up and followed the black serpent dragon. Meanwhile, on the other side of the divine illusion dimension, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng continued to travel at a leisurely pace and would occasionally take a break. The black serpent dragon's speed was getting faster and faster. In the end, it easily reached the level of a martial emperor. The two of them couldn't keep up. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's tracking methods were extremely brilliant. He was not afraid of losing the black flood dragon at all. In fact, the black serpent dragon was simply unbridled as it flew through the air. Most people with tracking experience would be able to easily keep up with it. As expected, the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi is getting denser. We're getting closer to the core of the divine illusion dimension. Zhao Feng looked ahead. Over the past couple of days, the beasts he and Nan Gongsheng had encountered had become stronger and stronger. Of course, there were many fortuitous encounters along the way. Occasionally, they would even see the traces of outsiders. The range of the divine illusion dimension was very large. There were at least a few hundred two-star sects in the continent's dynasties, as well as the major forces in the surrounding seas. This was a very conservative figure, and it did not include some aristocratic families. Of course, there were very few factions that could send kings. Ordinary 3-star sects or the 8 great clans had a higher chance of doing so. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng landed on a hill and started to recover. In order to deal with the dangers in the divine illusion dimension, the two didn't want to expend too much yuan qi. The two of them had their backs to each other. Rather than saying that they were recuperating, it was more accurate to say that they were cultivating. Zhao Feng took out the purple wind lightning lion's king crystal core and sat down to recover and cultivate the 5-elemental 10,000 lightning technique. This divine stump dimension had retained its original appearance from the ancient times. Its vital energy was extremely abundant, and its cultivation effects were far superior to the outside world. On the way, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye found some ancient resources that were already extinct in the outside world. At this moment, with the help of the wind lightning crystal core, Zhao Feng's cultivation could be felt increasing bit by bit. The wind lightning crystal core contained a true yuan dimension of wind lightning, and it was extremely pure. This crystal core was a rare element of wind lightning, and it was very compatible with Zhao Feng. In just a short while, Zhao Feng's yuan qi recovered, and the size and quality of the core within his body increased. I still need some time to break through to the great origin core realm. Zhao Feng started to think. After all, the origin core realm was a long process of accumulating energy. Zhao Feng's 5-elemental wind lightning technique was not a normal technique. After thinking about it, Zhao Feng decided to change his path of cultivation. He no longer pursued quantity, he focused on the quality of his true yuan. Within his dantian, the crystallization of Zhao Feng's core became more and more obvious, and a faint glow appeared on its surface. I'll first raise the strength of my crystal core true yuan to the great origin core realm. Zhao Feng had a goal. The reason he did this was to accumulate explosive power in the divine illusion dimension. In order to speed up this process, Zhao Feng entered the ancient dream realm. Shua! Zhao Feng's consciousness merged into the small whirlpool in the center of his soul sea. In the next instant, he stepped onto an ancient land, and an ancient aura surged over. The pressure here was even stronger than the divine illusion dimension. However, with Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body, he could still easily walk around. There were a few spiritual fruits on the trees in the center of the forest, and most of them were at least 70 to 80% ripe. The azure-spotted python and the ancient demonic bird obediently guarded the area. Zhao Feng picked a ripe ancient dream realm spiritual fruit and bit into it before eating it. The ancient dream realm spiritual fruit was extremely useful to the body and bloodline. Back when the child demigod was a king, a few ancient dream realm spiritual fruits were enough to increase his sacred body's cultivation. However, the ancient dream realm spiritual fruit was hard to digest and absorb. Otherwise, Zhao Feng wouldn't have eaten the ancient dream realm spiritual fruit so late. His consciousness returned to the divine illusion dimension. Nan Gongsheng was cultivating behind Zhao Feng, and wisps of the power of the evil god crystal appeared in his spatial domain. Zhao Feng found that Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain and the evil god crystal were merging with each other. The evil god crystal was the core, and its wicked power eroded Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain and merged into his crystal core. While Nan Gongsheng was cultivating, wisps of purple light started to shine from the silver light around him. Faintly, a crescent-shaped purple symbol appeared on Nan Gongsheng's forehead, like the mark of the evil god. As Nan Gongsheng breathed, the heaven-earth yuan qi nearby trembled as if they were worshipping a god. As expected of the evil god crystal, Nan Gongsheng is getting stronger and stronger. I just don't know if he can truly control this power. Zhao Feng thought. Of course. After eating the ancient dream realm spiritual fruit and the king-level wind lightning crystal core, the increase in his cultivation was even more shocking. In just half a day, Zhao Feng's body and bloodline had obviously become stronger. His golden Kun sacred lightning body had reached the late stages of the 4th level, and he wasn't far from the peak 4th level. This was only because he had only digested a portion of the ancient dream realm spiritual fruit's effects. Boom! When Zhao Feng was situated in a dark blue whirlpool of water and lightning, and the water of wind lightning yuan qi in heaven and earth roared and shook. In the sky above the hillside where the two of them were, there was a large thunderstorm. That kind of power could be clearly felt within a radius of 100 miles. My 5-elemental wind lightning technique has broken through to the 6th level. Joy appeared on Zhao Feng's face. The 1st to 3rd levels of the 5-elemental wind lightning technique were the foundations of wind lightning. The 4th to 6th levels were the foundations of the first 5-elemental wind lightning. And now, Zhao Feng's first water of wind lightning had reached the late stages of the 6th level. I'll be able to create the 2nd element of wind lightning from the next level, the 7th level, the wood of wind lightning. Zhao Feng was looking forward to it. The 5-elemental wind lightning technique connected the 5 elements and was extremely profound. Every element of wind lightning that was formed didn't just increase one's strength, it also meant that one's strength would increase. Furthermore, every element of wind lightning that was formed would increase one's resistance to the element of the sacred lightning body. For example, right now, Zhao Feng had cultivated the water of wind lightning and started to refine his body. His sacred lightning body had a strong resistance against the elements of ice and water. Within his dantian, Zhao Feng's pill core had almost completely crystallized, and it gave off a translucent feeling. Now, apart from the difference in quantity, the strength of Zhao Feng's true yuan wasn't much different from a great origin core realm. Adding on the sacred lightning body in the wind lightning technique, his battle power was comparable to a half-step void god realm. This was even without considering his god's spiritual eye, bloodline power, and some other hidden cards. Let's go. Zhao Feng got up first. There was still more than half of the ancient dream realm spiritual fruit left in his body, and he could slowly digest it. Once he completely absorbed the ancient dream realm spiritual fruit, Zhao Feng's golden Kuan sacred lightning body would reach the peak of the 4th level. At that time, Zhao Feng would be able to crush normal half-step void god realms with just his physical body alone. Hunan Gongsheng let out a long breath and got up unwillingly. The evil god crystal had strengthened his domain and crystal core, and the increase in strength it brought was intoxicating. Seng! Seng! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng left the hill and continued to chase after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. The two had only flown a couple dozen miles when the sound of battle came from a ruined city. Whoosh! Among them, a faint white beam of light shot out from the direction of the ruins. Chase after her. That Yao girl from the Dark Moon Lord dynasty stole the soul-stabilizing pearl and the heart-nourishing soul wood. More than 20 figures chased from the ruined city. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but stop and watch. Along the way, the two of them had also seen some battles between outsiders. However, there were several hundred people gathered in the ruined city. This was the first time they had seen something like this. Only a portion of the peak elites were chasing after them. Whoosh! A non-human female with transparent cicada wings could be faintly seen within the white beam of light. Her speed was shocking, and her aura had reached the Void God realm. There were 2 Void God realm kings chasing after her. The rest were either late-stage or peak Great Origin Core realms at the half-step Void God realm. Fellow Taoists, please stop that Yao girl from the Dark Moon Lord dynasty. A young king in ancient armor behind him roared. The speed of the cicada-winged woman's silhouette was a level higher than that of the people behind her. In terms of speed, no one present could compare to her. If Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng took action, they might be able to stop her. This female seems to have some sort of treasure on her. Leave her behind. A light flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, he punched out. Seeing a small Origin Core realm youth attack her, the cicada-winged female revealed a look of disdain. However, her expression changed dramatically the next instant. Boom! This punch contained the power of a mountain, and it could instantly kill normal Great Origin Core realms. The cicada-winged female was fast and light, but her physical body was her weakness. Because she underestimated her opponent and was caught off guard, the cicada-winged female's body shook in the air, and her blood boiled. She was almost injured. Right at this moment, shwa! A bewitching silver light with a hint of purple flashed toward the cicada-winged female. Spatial technique. The expression of the cicada-winged female changed dramatically as she realized that these two weren't normal. This was especially true for Nan Gongsheng. A spatial domain with a hint of purple and silver radiated a wicked power that made her heart shake. Young masters, please spare me. I'll give you my treasures. The cicada-winged female begged. Chapter 806. Young masters, please spare me. I'll just give you some treasures. The cicada-winged demonic woman's face was as red as a peach. She looked very charming as she begged pitifully. She was at the early stages of the Void God realm, and her strength wasn't bad. Her bloodline gave her incredible speed. However, because she underestimated Nan Gongsheng, she didn't even have time to react before she fell into Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain and had to face Zhao Feng's powerful sacred body. Nan Gongsheng's domain was a rare spatial technique. Once one fell into it, it would be very difficult to escape. Now that he had merged with the evil god Crystal, Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain's power and restriction had surpassed common sense. The cicada Yao knew that she wouldn't be able to escape once she fell into it. Zhao Feng, what should we do with this Yao woman? Nan Gongsheng asked in a questioning tone. At this moment in time, the three were in a silver and purple spatial blur, and they were almost completely sealed off from the outside world. The cicada Yao woman was extremely surprised. Nan Gongsheng had to ask the purple-haired handsome youth's opinion despite his strength. It was as if the purple-haired youth was the leader. She's just a non-human Yao woman. Just kill her. Zhao Feng's tone was emotionless. A strong murderous intent flickered in their eyes at the same time. The cicada-winged demonic woman only felt a chill envelop her entire body. The two people she had encountered were clearly people who were decisive in killing. Kill! A layer of silver-blue metal glittered around Zhao Feng's body, and the surroundings became heavy as his fist punched toward the cicada Yao woman. Boom! The cicada Yao woman felt a terrifying physical force slam into her body, and she almost instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. It wasn't that she couldn't fight back, it was that she couldn't circulate her magnificent power in Nan Gongxing's spatial domain, and her true yuan was restricted. Her race specialized in speed, but their bodies weren't very strong. Not good. The cicada Yao woman's body shook as she was injured. Before she could react, she felt a life-threatening danger. Whoosh! 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 A silver-purple spatial blade appeared in Nan Gongxing's palm and instantly sliced the cicada Yao woman into dozens of pieces. Near the ruined ancient city, Arg. As the cicada-winged demonic woman screamed in agony, bloody pieces of flesh fell from the sky. In the distance, the ancient armored monarch and the others who were chasing after them couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. All they saw was Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing attacking, and in just 2 or 3 breaths, the cicada-winged demonic woman was sliced into pieces. In midair, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing started to collect the spoils of war from the cicada-winged demonic woman. The spoils of war from a void god realm king were obviously extraordinary. However, most of them were useless to Zhao Feng. On the other hand, the cicada-winged demoness had just obtained the soul-calming pearl and the heart-nourishing soul wood. The soul-calming pearl was a legendary soul armament used to stabilize one's mind. With this pearl, one could avoid many mental illusions and soul path secret techniques. It could even expel one's inner demons and help in condensing one's will. In terms of value, this soul-calming pearl was close to the heaven-locking bow and the universe sword. However, Zhao Feng was interested in the heart-nourishing soul wood. This soul wood could nourish and strengthen the soul, and it was extremely effective for void god realms. Both the soul-calming pearl and the heart-nourishing soul wood were extremely tempting for those below the sacred lord realm. Nan Gongxing, your personality seems to be affected by the evil god crystal. This soul-calming pearl is suitable for you. The heart-nourishing soul wood can help me recover my soul power and intent. Zhao Feng said. His god's spiritual eye didn't need the soul-calming pearl. On the other hand, Nan Gongxing's bloodlust and killing just now didn't seem like his personality. Although Nan Gongxing was decisive, he didn't like killing. Sure. Nan Gongxing understood Zhao Feng's good intentions. He could also feel the wicked power within the evil god crystal affecting him. Nan Gongxing immediately put on the soul-calming pearl and felt a cool sensation pass into his soul intent. His eyes became much clearer. Zhao Feng nodded his head. He wasn't strong enough in the divine illusion dimension, and Nan Gongxing was a strong ally. The heart-nourishing soul wood wasn't bad either, it could speed up the recovery of Zhao Feng's soul power and intent. Zhao Feng estimated that this piece of heart-nourishing soul wood could allow his soul to recover to the level of an early-stage or middle-stage void god realm. At that time, his emperor intent wouldn't be too far away from awakening. However, right now wasn't the time to use this soul wood. Whoosh! 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 The sound of flying sounded from the distance. It was the 20-some people that had chased after them from the ruins of the ancient city. The leaders were a youth in ancient armor and a purple-haired girl. Both of them were void god realm kings. The youth in ancient armor was a domain-level king. That purple-haired girl was a king tier of the new generation. She was extremely beautiful, and her flowing purple hair made her look even more dreamy and noble. I am Chao Yun, and I come from the Chao family, one of the 8 big families. May I ask where you two come from? The youth in ancient armor said while clasping his hands. He was wary of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing's speed in killing the demoness just now. One of the 8 big families, the Chao family. Zhao Feng's heart shook. Each of the 8 big families of the Great Gan Lord dynasty was comparable to a 3-star power or even stronger, and they had deep roots in the Lord dynasty. Ji Lan, a disciple of the Ji family, one of the 8 big families. The 2 of you stole the prey we were chasing, shouldn't you give us an explanation? The purple-haired girl's eyes started to glow with a faint purple light. Zhao Feng's heart moved as he realized that the purple-haired girl, Ji Lan, had a unique eye bloodline. Both of them come from one of the 8 big families. Nan Gongsheng didn't dare to underestimate them. Before connecting to the divine illusion dimension, the seniors of the Mystic True Sacred Clan had told him about the forces of the Lord dynasties. Any one of the 8 big families was stronger than the 3-star Mystic True Sacred Clan that he was from. Seeing Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng remain silent, the youth in ancient armor, Chao Yun, revealed a smile. He was sure that the forces or families these two came from couldn't be compared to the 8 big families. How about this? Hand over the soul-calming pearl and the heart-nourishing soul wood. We won't ask about the other spoils of war. Chao Yun smiled faintly and said. The purple-haired girl, Ji Lan, pursed her lips and didn't say anything, as if she was unsatisfied. So what if a prince of the Great Gon Lord dynasty comes personally? I don't have the habit of spitting out the meat I eat. Zhao Feng smiled in disdain. Hearing that, the expressions of Chao Yun and Ji Lan changed dramatically, and the group behind them broke out into chaos. Arrogant brat. You're just a measly small origin core realm. Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? Brat, do you dare to tell us which force you're from? Zhao Feng's words made the elites of the other families feel disgusted. Chao Yun's expression was grim, but he felt that this Zhao Feng was confident, but at the same time, he couldn't see through him. It was also this purple-haired youth who attacked first to kill the cicada-winged demonic woman. Let me see what you're made of. Ji Lan snickered coldly. Her beautiful purple hair blew in the wind, making her seem like a purple fairy. Zhao Feng also had purple hair, but it was shiny and even prettier than Ji Lan's. Ji Lan was slightly unhappy. Not only was this youth handsome, but he also had purple hair like her. In fact, he was even prettier than her. Purple star eyes. Ji Lan's eyes glittered with a dreamy purple light. They were like purple stars in the sky as a surge of powerful soul eye bloodline power shot toward Zhao Feng. In that instant, millions of burning purple stars appeared in Zhao Feng's and Nan Gongsheng's soul dimensions, and they started to shake. If it was a normal king, they would probably fall into the abyss of soul eye bloodline techniques, lose control of their intent, and be injured. And then, Chao Yun and company could use this chance to attack. However, there was a big difference between imagination and reality. The youth in black and the purple-haired youth stood proudly and weren't affected at all. Nan Gongsheng's eyes flashed as he circulated his king intent to block the soul eye bloodline technique that contained the Tao of illusions. As for Zhao Feng, he just stood there expressionlessly like a puppet, not reacting at all. How is this possible? The purple-haired girl, Ji Lan, couldn't help but exclaim. Nan Gongsheng was a domain-level king, so she wasn't surprised that he wasn't affected. Furthermore, Ji Lan's main target was Zhao Feng. The purple-haired youth was like a dead ocean, and the soul dimension attack didn't move at all. A layer of purple light suddenly appeared in the dazed Zhao Feng's left eye, and a surge of extremely condensed purple lightning shot out of it. The purple lightning was surrounded by wisps of purple starlight. It belonged to Ji Lan's soul eye bloodline power. Boom! Ji Lan's body shook, and her face paled as she stared at Zhao Feng's left eye in shock. Your eye bloodline. In that instant, her eye bloodline shuddered. Both her soul and her eye had suffered significant damage and backlash. It was hard to imagine. What level had that youth's mastery of the Tao of the soul reached? He was able to reverse Ji Lan's attack like Tai Chi. Furthermore, there was an immortal and undying aura within Zhao Feng's attack that countered all living beings. It made it hard for her to breathe. Ji Lan, what's wrong? The expressions of Chao Yun and company changed dramatically as they were stunned. Ji Lan's purple star eyes had always been successful, and even some of the geniuses on the imperial ranking were wary of it. However, at this moment, Ji Lan's face was pale white, and her body was trembling. One could imagine how badly she had lost. That brat's eye bloodline is too terrifying. Just the backlash from his eye bloodline made Ji-lan lose so badly. This brat's hair and eyes are also purple, and he also specializes in the soul. Could he be related to the Ji family? The geniuses and elites of the two aristocratic families were stunned. At this moment, even Chao Yun, a domain-level king, didn't dare to make a move. Between Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng, one had an unfathomable soul elemental eye bloodline, and the other was a domain-level king. Let's go. Zhao Feng coldly scanned over everyone before disappearing with Nan Gongsheng. In the next instant, a flash of silver brought the two over everyone's heads and toward the ruins of the ancient city. Chao Yun and the other elites had ugly expressions. These two people were not just arrogant and domineering, they directly flew over the heads of the crowd. However, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's unfathomable strength made no one dare to make a move. They seem to want to take advantage of the ruins of the ancient city. Over at the ruins, the Duanmu clan's Zhao Yufei is invincible. I'm afraid the two of them won't be enough. Chapter 807. Chao Yun and company watched as Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng flew toward the ancient city ruins. The geniuses of the top families of the Great Gan Lord dynasty were gathered in the ancient city ruins. Ji-lan, are you okay? Chao Yun looked at the purple-haired girl next to him with concern. Ji-lan's body was still trembling, and her face was pale white as if her soul had left her body. It was as if she still hadn't recovered from the fright just now. The geniuses and elites didn't understand. Being the daughter of one of the 8 big families, Ji-lan had a noble identity and was proud. Adding on her unique eye bloodline, she could be said to be a prodigy of the heavens. It wasn't that Ji-lan had never met a match in her generation, but no one had ever seen her suffer such a shock. His eye bloodline is the scariest I've ever seen in my life. Ji-lan said with lingering fear. Hearing that, the hearts of the geniuses shook. This was because the Ji family was famous for their eye bloodline, and some famous eye bloodlines had appeared in their family. Although the Ji family's eye bloodline wasn't the strongest in the continent, Ji-lan had interacted with many top-tier eye bloodlines. No matter how strong they are, they can't be compared to the Eye of Samsara or the Eye of Death, the descendants of God eyes that have appeared in the legends. A youth at the half-step king said. In the past 1,000 years, some descendants of the 8 great God eyes had appeared in the Lord dynasties. This wasn't a big secret among the upper echelon of the peak forces. I've seen the descendants of the God eyes before, but the pressure his left eye gives my purple star eyes is even more unique. It's as if it's unique, and no other eye can compare. The Ji family started to think. At this moment, her purple star eyes still hadn't recovered from the fear. They were both soul type, but the difference was like the difference between the clouds and the mud. Ha ha ha, Ji-lan, you're thinking too much. Could that guy's eye bloodline be one of the God eyes? Chao Yun shook his head and smiled. Everyone else laughed and didn't put it to heart. Whoosh! Whoosh! On the other side, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng landed on the edge of the ancient city in a flash of silver. Zhao Feng's left eye had returned to its normal color, but his hair was still purple. Coupled with his handsome face, he was extremely attractive to the opposite sex. From the air, Zhao Feng scanned the surroundings with his left eye. The ancient city ruins before them covered a huge area, comparable to the underground world. Zhao Feng could vaguely guess that this was once a prosperous trading city in the divine illusion dimension. Many races came here to trade. Skeletons of various races could be seen in the city, as well as the architectural styles of different races. Later on, no one knew what kind of calamity befell the city, but all the living beings in the city died out in a short period of time, turning it into a wasteland. As soon as the two of them reached the edge of the ruined city, they could feel the intense vibrations of heaven and earth yuan qi, as well as the collisions of Zhen yuan and mighty forces. The battles and fights in the ruined city were exceptionally intense. It turns out that even though all the living beings in the ancient city died in that unknown calamity, many precious treasures were still preserved. Zhao Feng understood the reason. This was the conclusion that his god's spiritual eye came to after analyzing the situation. In reality, there were indeed many ancient treasures dug out from the ruined city. Whoosh! 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 Behind them, Chao Yun, Ji Lan, and the other experts of the families returned to the ruined city to fight for the other treasures. It seems like we're late. Nan Gongsheng was slightly excited. In this chaotic situation, his spatial talents were more suitable for taking advantage of the situation. The two of them looked at each other and didn't hesitate anymore as they entered the ruined city. After flying for a couple dozen miles, they saw several dozen geniuses fighting in front of them. There were disciples of the big families and geniuses of the clans. Fuck off. Our 8-star tower found the ancient star stone first. That's not true. The ancient star stone is a peerless material used to forge heaven-grade weapons. It's already extinct in the continent, and it's what the Grand Elder of the Jiang family needs. Both sides had Void God Realm kings participating. Some of the half-step Void God Realms could use their bloodline or techniques to unleash battle power comparable to a king. There were also experts of other forces watching from the shadows. Whoosh! Whoosh! Just at this moment, a layer of mysterious silver light flashed across the sky above the battle between the two sides. Who's there? Both parties were slightly startled. One of the two newcomers was a domain-level king who seemed to specialize in spatial techniques. It's just some ores. A purple-haired youth in the profound silver light said calmly. Between Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng, the former had the sky-locking bow, while the latter had the Qiankuan sword. They weren't very interested in normal weapons and blacksmithing materials. Although the ancient star stone was valuable, it wasn't enough for the two of them to pay the price. Whoosh! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng passed through the two groups of people. Arg! My jellyfish essence! One of them, a beautiful blue-haired girl, exclaimed in a low voice, her face flushed red. Boom! Shwa! She couldn't fight back at all under the cover of a powerful physical force and a spatial technique, and the jellyfish essence that she had just obtained was taken away. How dare those two steal the treasure of the number one beauty of the Jiang family, Jiang Feishuet. The nearby elites watching from the shadows couldn't help but be surprised. Many precious ores had been excavated in this area, and the ancient star stone was the most valuable. The geniuses and elites of the Jiang family and 8-star tower were fighting over it. However, two dumb geniuses charged in and tried to steal the number one beauty of the Jiang family. Sister Feishuet. We'll take revenge for you after we get the ancient star stone. A black-robed king youth from the Jiang family coldly looked in the direction that Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had disappeared in. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng sped toward the depths of the ruined city. Not bad. This jellyfish essence can make up for the lack of the wind lightning crystal core. Zhao Feng had a smile on his face. Soon, the duo met another group of close to 100 elites. They seemed to be from a certain family. Ha ha ha, there are 2 damaged heaven-grade weapons here, and they're relatively complete. A purple and golden-robed youth roared with laughter. This youth had the cultivation of a half-step king, and there was a wrinkled elder next to him. He was a domain-level king. 13th prince, apart from heaven-grade weapons, there's also a sealed dark green bamboo. There's a damaged soft armor here that even an earth-grade weapon can't break. Some of the nearby geniuses and older elites found something. These people were all led by the purple and golden-robed 13th prince. The surrounding forces could only watch from the shadows and didn't dare to fight over it in the open. Whoosh! Whoosh! Right at this moment, a layer of silver light floated over from the air. Domain-level king of the spatial element. The wrinkled elder's expression changed slightly as he revealed a wary expression. Who are you from? We are from the Great Gan imperial family. Hurry up and leave. One of the half-step kings roared. Shwa! The layer of silver light didn't retreat. Instead, it flashed into the crowd. Boom! Some of the Imperial's geniuses in the crowd felt a mountain-like pressure, and many of them spat out blood. Bastard! Stop! The wrinkled old man let out a loud roar and turned into a yellow streak of light that charged toward the two of them. Nan Gongsheng snickered coldly as he punched backward, and the silver and purple light intertwined. Boom! The two magnificent powers and the spatial domain instantly clashed in the air, and the shockwaves from the collision either killed or injured the nearby Imperial elites. Old bastard! Everyone who sees the resources in the divine illusion dimension gets a share. In the space domain, a purple-haired youth punched out. The powerful force of the physical force fist surged with a layer of scarlet burning flames, covering the wrinkled old man's head. Bam! The wrinkled old man was forcefully pushed back. He was both shocked and angry, but he couldn't go all out or else he would injure even more of his own people. Not only did he not gain the upper hand in the clash just now, he even suffered some losses. Whoosh! Amidst the chaos, the layer of mysterious silver light lingered for a few breaths of time before flying away. Your Highness, not good. That wood elemental treasure, the boundless azure wood, was taken by those two. The few pieces of void crystal ore that I just dug up were also taken away. The Imperials panicked. How dare you? Which bastard dares to offend the Imperials? The purple and golden-robed youth was enraged. Sacred Emperor's sword. The 13th prince roared as a dazzling golden sword appeared in his hand. Dragon-shaped sword aura surrounded it, and the aura of an emperor made every living being in the ruins of the ancient city shake. Your Highness, please stop. The wrinkled elder's expression changed as he tried to stop the 13th prince. This sacred emperor's sword can't be used so easily. Furthermore, this isn't the territory of the Great Gon Lord dynasty. How can I forgive you for stealing the Imperial's resources? The 13th prince was enraged. The wrinkled elder had a bitter smile as he tried to stop the 13th prince. The divine illusion dimension was filled with geniuses and elites from countless forces around the continent zone. It was hard for the Great Gon Imperials to monopolize it. Furthermore, those two had only taken a portion of the resources that they had dug up. If they sent people to chase after them or fight them, they would lose the bigger picture. If they weren't careful, other forces might try to take advantage of them. Whoosh! The layer of silver light headed toward the depths of the ruins. Hee, this boundless azure wood is a precious wood elemental treasure. It'll be very helpful for me to form my second 5-elemental wind lightning, the wood of wind lightning. Zhao Feng smiled lightly. Next, the layer of silver light that the two were on used lightning-fast methods to steal treasures from a few groups. However, the forces that did this didn't have any void god realm kings. They only had half-step kings whose battle power was comparable to the void god realm, so their gains weren't as great. Zhao Feng, will our actions anger the geniuses of the Lord dynasties? Nan Gongsheng said uneasily. In just 4 hours, the two had stolen from 4 or 5 groups. We'll leave once we're done. Normal kings won't even be able to get close with the two of us teaming up. Zhao Feng said. The combination of him and Nan Gongsheng was very strong. The two discussed and decided to steal from a few more forces. There was nothing they could do. They had come late, so they could only steal some resources like this. Right at this moment, boom. Whoosh! A powerful surge of true yuan and intent appeared in the depths of the ruins, and it surprised Nan Gongsheng. In the air above a tattered palace, Miss Yufei, I'm impressed by your strength. However, the Duanmu family's strength alone won't be able to fight against us. A tall bald man in a black battle robe said indifferently. There were 3 other void god realm kings on his side, and they were fighting against a beautiful female in purple. Chapter 808. At this moment in time, in the air above the tattered palace, four surges of magnificent power condensed into one and merged into the spatial domain of the bald-headed male. When the bald-headed male and the other three kings were surrounded by a domain that was as dark as a demonic abyss. This spatial domain had almost materialized, and its color became darker and darker until it was as black as ink. The combined battle power of the four kings was enough to injure some peak-tier kings. This was especially so for the bald-headed male. He was an elite of the older generation, and his battle power was comparable to a peak-tier king. Miss Yufei, I'm impressed by your strength. However, the Duanmu family's strength alone won't be able to fight back against us. The bald man in the ink-black battle robe closed in step by step. However, facing the combined pressure of the four kings, the expression of the female in purple didn't change. Her snow-white skin started to glitter with a crystalline purple light. Looking over, it didn't seem to be a normal being made of flesh and blood. Instead, it was a lifelike and noble ice jade goddess. A spatial domain that hasn't materialized is useless against me. The female in purple smiled faintly. She and the green-robed elder behind her seemed to be in an invisible whirlpool, and the combined pressure from the four kings was like a stone sinking into the ocean. How did you do this? Unless they have a small world, how can they resist my space domain, which is infused with the power of four great kings? The bald man in the black battle robe paled slightly. Before this, he had fought with Zhao Yufei from the Duanmu family, and he hadn't been able to gain the upper hand. In fact, he had even been at a disadvantage. Now that they were teaming up, they still weren't able to gain the upper hand. Jiu Wuji. You're indeed one of the top domain-level kings, but you're not enough against the most talented genius in the history of the Duanmu family. The green-robed elder from the Duanmu family said confidently. It was as if he was even more confident than Zhao Yufei. The most talented genius in the history of the Duanmu family? Could it be that the rumors are true? Does that Zhao Yufei really have the bloodline of the spiritual race, which is ranked 19th among the 10,000 ancient races? The bald-headed male, Jiu Wuji, and the other three kings were in disbelief. The families and forces behind Jiu Wuji and the other kings were all shocked. As a senior elite, Jiu Wuji's battle prowess is at least on par with the top 30 geniuses on the imperial ranking, but, the current situation. Jiu Wuji and the other four kings fought against Zhao Yufei and the green-robed elder. Although it looked like it was 4 against 2, only Zhao Yufei was fighting. I don't believe it, split up and attack. Jiu Wuji snickered coldly as the spatial domain around him suddenly shrank. Whoosh! His figure flickered, and he charged toward Zhao Yufei and the green-robed old man with the other three monarchs. Go! Zhao Yufei let out a delicate shout. She spread her lily-white hand, and a crystal-like purple flame light ray transformed into an invisible ring-shaped impact shield. It swept in all directions. Bang! Bang! Before the other three monarchs could even get close, they were sent flying by a powerful force, and one of them coughed out blood. Break! Only Jiu Wuji's black battle robes fluttered as he closed in. A dark pillar of wind howled from his palm and pierced through the barrier. The forces behind the four kings couldn't help but cheer at this level of battle power. Boom! Some of the remaining power of the dark and sharp whirlwind beam hit Zhao Yufei. The latter's delicate body slightly shook, but the surface of her body was sparkling, and she was not damaged at all. What kind of body is this? Jiu Wuji's expression changed dramatically. Bam! Zhao Yufei and the green-robed elder used this chance to counterattack and sent Jiu Wuji flying. Jiu Wuji was within a mysterious force field that blocked their attacks. He barely managed to stabilize himself, but his blood started to boil. Even though he was someone who was unparalleled against those below the Emperor realm, his battle power was still unmatched. Zhao Yufei and the green-robed elder revealed solemn expressions. This Jiu Wuji came from a peak 3-star superpower, and he wasn't even 100 years old yet, but his battle power was unrivaled against those below the Emperor realm. Zhao Yufei, I'll take a step back. We'll split the resources around the corpse 50-50. Jiu Wuji's eyes were cold as he suppressed the frustration in his heart. He still had some powerful trump cards and secret techniques, but he was still in the early stages of connecting to the divine illusion dimension, so he needed to conserve some energy. The two sides were fighting over the treasures around the corpse. Only to see, there was a complete non-human skeleton under the tattered building. It had been there for who knows how many years, and it glowed with a golden light, as if it was a metallic Yao sovereign. Within a mile or two of this non-human skeleton, there were treasures that could make emperors and even sacred lords go red. Firstly, they were pieces of divine crystals that emitted extremely powerful origin energy pressure. These divine crystals were mostly substandard divine crystals of good quality. They were almost priceless in the world. There were dozens of god crystals in this area. Apart from that, there were 2 heaven-grade weapons and 1 inheritance sacred weapon that radiated an invisible aura that made normal kings unable to get close. Weapons were split into mortal, spiritual, earth, and heaven. Heaven-grade weapons were the strongest weapons in the world, and only mystic light realm sacred lords could unleash their true power. Inheritance sacred weapons were usually heaven-grade weapons, and even the weakest ones were close to it. Inheritance sacred weapons would lower the cultivation of the owner, but they would have other requirements. Some inheritance sacred weapons even contained information about inheritances. In addition to divine crystals, heaven-grade divine weapons, and inheritance saint artifacts, there were also some top-notch tools and precious materials scattered around the area near the skeleton, including storage gourds, and even spirit fruits, spirit pills, and saint medicines that were sealed by special means. The strength of the owner of this corpse might have reached the level of a demigod when he was alive. He was at least stronger than normal sacred lords. Even if we can only obtain 1/10 or even 1/100th of the items left behind by a powerful sacred lord or demigod, it would be enough. The geniuses and elites of the nearby families and forces all felt their hearts beat faster. However, in this ruined city, the Duanmu family was the most powerful family. Luckily, there were experts like Jiu Wuji, who had reorganized a few families and sects to fight against Zhao Yufei. 50-50. This corpse was just discovered by the Duanmu family. Zhao Yufei's eyes were cold. Zhao Yufei, if we really fight, there are more mid-tier half-step kings and peak great origin core realms behind us. If you insist on doing this, you might be able to survive, but the geniuses and elites of the Duanmu family. Jiu Wuji said cunningly. Zhao Yufei's side had the advantage in terms of high-end experts. However, there were 3 to 4 times the number of mid-tier experts behind Jiu Wuji and company compared to the Duanmu family. One had to know. Some of the half-step kings that entered the divine illusion dimension had battle power comparable to kings. Then let's try. Zhao Yufei had a fearless look on her face. The green-robed elder next to her also had a faint smile and didn't panic at all. Whoosh! Just at this moment, a layer of mysterious silver light approached them. There seems to be a familiar and powerful aura ahead. Zhao Feng murmured within the silver light. That's right, it's somewhat familiar. Nan Gongsheng nodded his head and said. The two soon approached the outer edges of the palace. Even though it was just the outer edges, there were still some experts and forces watching from the shadows. The inner area was where the 4 kings, including Jiu Wuji, were. The overall strength of these forces far surpassed the 10,000 sacred clan that Zhao Feng was from. Before they even got close, Zhao Feng could hear heaven-grade weapons and god crystals. Pang! Boom! At this moment, the battle in the air above the palace started once more. There was a total of 6 kings in the air above the golden skeleton, and they started to engage in a shocking battle. Of the 6 kings, the elegant and transcendent celestial maiden in a violet dress stood out the most. Every time she attacked, her true yuan was as beautiful as crystal, and she easily sent the nearby void god realm kings flying. As for the half-step kings, they weren't even able to get close. Wah! Wah! Apart from Jiu Wuji, the other Void God Realm kings were all injured. That Zhao Yufei is only at the middle stages of the Void God Realm and is close to the late stages, but her true yuan is so strong and dense. Even if we use numbers, it'll be useless against so many kings. Jiu Wuji's expression kept on changing. At the moment, he didn't dare to use numbers yet because Zhao Yufei and the green-robed elder weren't scared at all. Jiu Wuji guessed that Zhao Yufei most likely had a little world that contained many powerful trump cards and secret techniques that she hadn't used yet. Whoosh! A layer of silver light approached the forces of Jiu Wuji and the other four kings. Yufei. Zhao Feng muttered to himself as he gazed at the woman. She was no longer the slender and elegant girl of the past. She had grown into a truly peerless beauty, one that could topple a nation. Zhao Yufei. Nan Gongsheng was surprised. Back in the true martial sacred land, Nan Gongsheng had fought with Zhao Yufei, and he knew how terrifying she was. Zhao Feng, what do you plan to do? Nan Gongsheng looked at Zhao Feng with a weird gaze. The battle between the six kings became more and more intense. The half-step kings behind Jiu Wuji and the other four kings started to attack from afar. Who's there? The forces behind the four kings sensed Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng approaching. Plunder. Zhao Feng snickered coldly as he passed through Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain and entered the forces behind the four kings. The valuable treasures and precious materials that were scattered around the skeleton would be more valuable as they went from the outside to inside. Even within a 10-mile radius, there were some rare treasures. Most of the treasures in the outer regions were controlled and excavated by the forces behind the four kings. Arg! My interspatial ring. Stop! The star darkness meteorite I just dug up. Who's there? Who dares to steal resources from Nine Darkness Palace? The forces behind Jiu Wuji were in chaos, and roars of anger and shock sounded. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, that streak of mysterious silver light either overlapped or escaped into the void. It was as if there was no one in the crowd. Those below the half-step king level couldn't even touch it. Moreover, every time the mysterious silver void descended, it would carry with it a strange and evil spatial energy and a mountain-like pressure. Some of the half-step kings couldn't even fight back when they were robbed. Who's there? Jiu Wuji and company couldn't help but look over with enraged gazes. Zhao Yufei's eyes spun as she exclaimed, "It's him." Nan Gongsheng. Chapter 809. Where did those two guys come from? They even dared to steal from people from Nine Darkness Palace. Spatial bloodline. Body strengthening. What a powerful combination. There were still some forces and experts around the golden skeleton. Their eyes widened when they saw this. Whoosh! 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 The layer of silver light contained a spatial domain, and it flashed around unpredictably. Every time it flashed, the two within the silver light would steal some treasures. Their movements were extremely fast, as if they were very experienced. Who dares to make a move against my Nine Nether Palace? Jiu Wuji, who was wearing a black battle robe, couldn't help but exclaim as he looked behind him with a cold gaze. Every time the layer of silver light attacked, one could see a youth in black clothes and a handsome youth with purple hair. The youth in black clothes was a space elemental domain level king. Adding on the fact that there was another body cultivator, they were like tigers that had grown wings. Even those from the Duanmu family were shocked. Yufei? Do you know those two? The green-robed elder asked curiously. Zhao Yufei also noticed the actions of the black-clothed and purple-haired duo, and her expression became weird. It's an old friend. Maybe Nan Gongsheng's trying to help us. Zhao Yufei smiled. Seeing this, she stopped focusing on defense and started to counterattack, putting more pressure on Jiu Wuji and the other four kings. Ha ha ha. That's good. The green-robed elder wanted this to happen, so he increased his offense as well. Instantly. Jiu Wuji and the other 4 kings were instantly counterattacked by the green-robed elder and Zhao Yufei. Apart from Jiu Wuji, the other 4 kings were all injured. Whoosh! Whoosh! The mystic silver light that the two were on quickly flashed past 9 Darkness Palace's team and went to plunder the teams of the other forces. Which bastard dares to attack the Shi family? One of the 4 kings couldn't help but roar angrily. The Shi family was also one of the 8 big families. The spectating forces and experts were dumbfounded. The black-clothed and purple-haired duo had plundered the 9 Nether Palace, and now they had turned to plunder the other forces. The forces behind these teams were at least 3 stars, and some were even at the peak of 3 stars. This is insane. The 9 Nether Palace, the Shi family, the Dong family, and Duke Yuan's estate, were all plundered by these two. The experts from the surrounding forces were shocked by the two's actions. 9 Nether Palace, a peak 3-star sect. The Shi clan and the Dong clan were both part of the 8 great super clans, which were more powerful than ordinary 3-star sections. Duke Yuan's residence was the ruling structure of a province in the Great Gan dynasty. It was a level higher than the duke's residence in the Tianfeng Great Island Zone. In the Great Qian dynasty, every province was equivalent to a Shanghai. An ordinary 2 or 3-star sect wouldn't have the guts to attack the teams of 4 superpowers at the same time. Thankfully, the black-clothed, purple-haired duo only robbed and did not kill. The target of the plunder was powerless to resist. Doing this didn't go against the rules of the divine illusion dimension. This was because the geniuses and elites that entered the divine illusion dimension competed against each other. Not bad, not bad. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's wealth became more and more as they robbed. In just half the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the two of them had already plundered more precious materials and treasures than before. Thieves! Once we're free, we'll tear you into 10,000 pieces. The lungs of Jiu Wuji and company were about to explode from anger. Right now. The biggest profit was the resources around the golden bones. The treasures that Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had taken couldn't even be compared to these. Furthermore, they only robbed and didn't kill. Jiu Wuji, if this continues, the 4 forces will lose all face. The young king from Duke Yuan's residence said angrily. No matter how many there are, we'll split the treasures first before dealing with those 2 thieves. Jiu Wuji couldn't take it anymore. At this moment in time, the 4 forces behind them were chasing after the black-clothed, purple-haired duo, but they were being played. Whoosh! 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 Jiu Wuji and company stopped fighting with Zhao Yufei and charged toward the treasures around the golden bones. Heaven-grade weapon. Inheritance sacred weapon. God crystals. Spiritual fruits and sacred pills. These treasures were the core of the fight. Otherwise, Jiu Wuji and company would have charged over and killed the black-clothed, purple-haired duo already. Hee, it won't be that easy. Zhao Yufei smiled as she turned into a purple streak of light and charged downward. Boom! 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 Zhao Yufei's charge instantly scattered Jiu Wuji and company. Demonic Sky Hand. Jiu Wuji stood proudly in the air as one of his arms started to burn and expand into a giant black hand. The enormous demonic hand of the heavens exuded a majestic demonic energy, and it stirred up roiling black clouds and flames. As it moved, it seemed as if the heavens and the earth would rend apart, and it seemed as if it could crush everything in its path. At this moment in time, Jiu Wuji's battle power rose to a whole new level, and he fought against Zhao Yufei for the treasures around the golden bones. Don't even think about it. A layer of crystal-like purple light appeared on Zhao Yufei's skin, and the strength of her true yuan and explosive power rose to a whole new level. Boom! The battle between a male and female, an older expert and a younger genius, made the other kings retreat. Whoosh! 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 Some of the treasures around the golden bones were swept into the air. Take the treasures. Many forces charged forward, and the half-step kings whose battle power was close to that of a king joined the fight. A few kings that had been watching for a long time also joined in. However, the treasures, such as heaven-grade weapons, inheritance sacred weapons, and god crystals, weren't simple. Heaven-grade weapons would have a strong backlash if they were attacked by an external force. The god crystals themselves also gave off a powerful pressure that made it hard for anyone below the king level to approach. In fact, even though the owner of the golden skeleton had died, the skeleton was still emitting an inviolable might. When several sharp beams of golden light shot out from the golden bones, forcing back several kings and half-step kings. A bloody gash was left behind on one of the void god realm kings. Another half-step king, whose battle power was comparable to a king, was almost sliced in two by one of the beams of golden light. Watch out! That golden skeleton was an expert that cultivated the Tao of metal when it was alive. The half-step kings exclaimed. The Tao of metal was one of the 5 elements, and its attacks were extremely sharp. In terms of single-target attacks, they were even stronger than the Tao of fire and the Tao of lightning. This is our chance. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other. The situation had become chaotic. Many precious treasures in the vicinity of the golden skeleton were blasted into the air, and there were even all sorts of backlash, causing people to be thrown off their feet and dust to rise into the air. Whoosh! The layer of silver light quickly moved to the vicinity of the golden skeleton. Wen Peng. Even Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain was affected by the shockwaves of the battle. The two of them had entered the core area, so the backlash was very strong. They would also be affected by the shockwaves from the battle between Zhao Yufei and Jiu Wuji. However, from the looks of it, Zhao Yufei was still suppressing Jiu Wuji and company. In terms of the number of treasures they had obtained, Zhao Yufei surpassed Jiu Wuji and company. Substandard God Crystals. Nan Gongsheng successfully took out a few substandard god crystals with a streak of silver light. He was much more relaxed than the others. So, Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain contained the core of the evil god crystal, which could suppress normal substandard god crystals. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng split up for now. His target wasn't the substandard god crystals. He aimed at the golden skeleton. This skeleton contained an extremely pure metal elemental power and intent. It should have been a non-human with the element of metal when it was alive. My 5 elemental wind lightning will be followed up by the metal of wind lightning. Zhao Feng thought. Ice Imperial Armor. He circulated his ice-water bloodline, and a layer of ice-blue liquid covered his body, forming a dark blue armor. With the protection of the Ice Imperial Spear, Zhao Feng's defense increased dramatically. Adding on the fact that his Golden Kuan Sacred Lightning Body's defense was strong enough to block attacks from kings. Whoosh! Water and lightning rippled on the surface of the Ice Imperial Armor, and it contained the power of a backlash. Anyone that tried to attack or get close to Zhao Feng would be attacked by ice and lightning. Zhao Yufei, who was in the middle of an intense battle, felt a familiar aura and glanced toward Zhao Feng's Ice Imperial Armor and Water of Wind Lightning. However, the purple-haired youth wasn't that person in the depths of her heart. They were only similar in terms of bloodline and techniques. Open. After his defense increased dramatically, Zhao Feng circulated the power of his physical body, and a layer of blood-red flames burned on his fist. With a pang, he pushed away the shockwaves and backlash. Even some half-step kings and void god realm kings were temporarily pushed away by Zhao Feng. In this process, Zhao Feng also took out 2 or 3 substandard god crystals. Finally, he approached the golden skeleton. The skeleton emitted a powerful pressure, and it could even launch a backlash of metal path attacks. Go! A golden earth-grade chain appeared in Zhao Feng's hand, and with the support of his physical body, it wrapped around the golden skeleton. Whoosh! 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 Ding! Ding! Zhao Feng and the people nearby were all attacked by the golden skeleton. Watch out! Dodge. The nearby half-step kings and void god realm kings dodged in a ruffled manner. However, Zhao Feng seemed to have predicted this and dodged most of the metal Dao backlash. This golden skeleton just relies on the intent contained in its body to communicate with the metal Yuan Qi in the outside world. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye could see everything. His soul intent and cultivation weren't simple, and the pressure from the golden skeleton wasn't able to suppress him. Crack. The instant the golden chain was about to break, the golden skeleton was dragged into Zhao Feng's ancient metal ring. At the last moment, the little thieving cat used its shadow escape technique to absorb the golden skeleton. That thief stole the golden skeleton of the outsider tribe's almighty. The nearby half-step kings and void god realm kings were stunned when they felt the pressure decrease. Even a void god realm king wouldn't be able to absorb the golden skeleton so easily. Don't let those two brats get away. One of Jiu Wuji's 4 kings said angrily. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng both obtained a lot. The former obtained the golden skeleton and some items from the corpse. Nan Gongsheng obtained the most god crystals, taking up half of the loot. Chapter 8-10. In this chaotic fight, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had successfully interfered and obtained something that made everyone's eyes go red. At this moment in time, the fight for the treasures near the golden bones finally settled down. That thief stole the golden skeleton of the outsider tribe's almighty. Don't let those two brats get away. Some of the half-step kings and void god realm kings turned toward Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. This wasn't just because of benefits, it was also because of the anger and grievances they had accumulated after being robbed. Some of the kings present intentionally or unintentionally closed in on Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng, and they even started to surround them. One of Jiu Wuji's 4 kings even charged toward Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's cultivation was only at the origin core realm, but he had obtained the golden bones and some items on them. If they didn't leave now, then when? Retreat. A pair of lifelike wings of water and lightning suddenly extended from Zhao Feng's back. Lightning wings flying technique. Bo. Schwa. Leaving behind an afterimage of water and lightning ripples, the wind lightning wings had already flown into the air and met up with the other mysterious silver light. Boom. 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 One void god realm king and several half-step kings with battle power comparable to kings all attacked empty air. That brat also specializes in spatial movement, and it's the rare lightning wings flying technique. The experts and elites that attacked empty air were all stunned. Who would have thought that a small origin core realm genius would be able to comprehend such a profound lightning wings flying technique? His speed, reaction speed, and awareness were all top tier. Go! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were covered in a layer of silver light as they quickly flew out of the ruins of the ancient city. That lightning wings flying technique. Surprise flashed through Zhao Yufei's eyes as she watched the wings of water and lightning behind Zhao Feng retract. With Nan Gongsheng's spatial movement technique, the number of experts that could catch up to him could be counted on one hand. Jiu Wuji, who was the strongest, was being held back by Zhao Yufei. After the previous plunder and the disruption this time, the two of them had gained quite a lot. Heart-nurturing soul wood, jellyfish essence, boundless azure wood, substandard divine crystal. With these resources, my cultivation and strength should have a new breakthrough. Zhao Feng was secretly delighted. With just the two of them, it would be difficult for them to dig up some treasures. This method of plundering was indeed very fast in terms of obtaining resources. However, everything has its pros and cons. This kind of unscrupulous plundering was very hurtful and could easily offend people. Junior, stop right there. At the edge of the ancient city ruins, there was a group of people. The leader was a black-robed young king with eyes like cold stars. Beside him were several half-step void god realms and great origin core realms. One of them was a beautiful blue-haired girl who seemed to come out of a painting. It's the Jiang family. The Jiang family's #1 genius, Jiang Chen, and the Jiang family's #1 beauty, Jiang Fei Shui. The geniuses from the nearby forces immediately recognized the origin of the group. Brother Jiang Chen, that's the thief that stole my jellyfish essence. The beautiful blue-haired girl gritted her teeth and furrowed her eyebrows as she stared at the purple-haired youth with disgust. This blue-haired girl was the Jiang family's #1 beauty, Jiang Fei Shui. The expressions of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing tightened. The two of them were about to fall into a situation of being outflanked. Although their battle power was strong, they wouldn't be able to block the combined attacks of so many kings. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye could sense that there were experts from the Chao family, Ji family, and other forces lying in ambush. Chao Yun, he seems to have sensed our presence. A faint purple light appeared in Ji Lan's eyes, but she couldn't hide the fear and wariness on her face. Earlier, the damage from Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye hadn't disappeared yet. Wait for an opportunity. This Jiang Chen is also a domain-level king, and his battle power isn't bad. Chao Yun said in a low tone. Right at this moment, the silver light that Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing had turned into was blocked. Stay here. A silver spear of ice appeared in Jiang Chen's hand, and it radiated a faint black light. When everywhere the faint black icy light passed, everything would be frozen before transforming into black powder. It was peerlessly overbearing. Whoosh! 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 The faint black spear of ice actually managed to pierce into Nan Gongxing's spatial domain. A layer of faint black frost started to condense in Nan Gongxing's spatial domain. Even though the attack did not pose much of a threat to them, the powerful chill it emitted caused their speed to slow down. At the same time, the 5 or 6 half-step kings of the Jiang family instantly attacked, including the blue-haired beauty, Jiang Fei Shui. The battle power of these half-step kings was extremely close to that of a king, and some were even comparable to a king. Nan Gongxing was forced to circulate his magnificent power and spatial techniques to absorb or redirect their attacks. Bam! Rumble! Nan Gongxing and Jiang Chen clashed in the air, and their spatial domains clashed. The powerful force pushed back many nearby people. Bam! Jiang Chen was pushed back dozens of yards by a palm that contained wicked purple light, and his blood started to boil. If it weren't for the fact that Nan Gongxing received the power of the evil god crystal, the chances of winning would still be 50-50. Zhao Feng's heart was as clear as a mirror. The evil god crystal had become the core of Nan Gongxing's domain, and its power affected the crystal core source. Bam! 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 However, at the same time, the other experts of the Jiang family stopped Nan Gongxing and Zhao Feng from escaping. Even if the Jiang family could only stall them for a few breaths, the pursuers would arrive soon. Thieves! How dare you steal the treasures of the Imperials? I will hang your heads on the city walls. A cold voice sounded from another direction. Whoosh! 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 A group from the Great Ghan Imperials charged over. The ones at the front were the 13th prince and the wrinkled elder from before. There were also some half-step kings chasing after them. Ha ha ha! 2 juniors, you've angered everyone. Let's see where you can run. The kings from Grand Duke Yuan's palace, the Shi family, and the Dong family, as well as some half-step kings, tried to surround them from different directions. At this moment in time, whether or not the Jiang family could stall Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing for a few breaths was the key. Zhao Feng, what should we do now? More and more pursuers appeared, and they were quickly closing in. Nan Gongxing's expression was solemn. Jiang Chen's strength was close to his, and there were a few others who were close to the Void God realm. These people didn't want to defeat Nan Gongxing, they just wanted to stall him for a few breaths. I'll take care of him first. Zhao Feng had a decisive expression as his eyes locked onto Jiang Chen. Under normal situations, Nan Gongxing and Jiang Chen would need at least 10 to 20 moves in a one-on-one fight. On top of that, there were other experts there as well. Go! Nan Gongsheng understood what Zhao Feng meant, and he turned into a streak of silver as he closed in on Jiang Chen. Lightning wings flying technique. At the same time, a purple-haired youth with a pair of wind and lightning wings on his back landed on Jiang Chen with the force of a mountain. Not good. Jiang Chen's body became heavy under the combined pressure of Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng. Break. A layer of bright red flames ignited around Zhao Feng's body as he circulated the sacred lightning body and punched toward Jiang Chen. Huang. Furthermore, the wind and lightning wings on Zhao Feng's back fluttered at high speed, and his punch created a powerful whirlpool of water of wind lightning. Mystic space crack. Nan Gongsheng's palm slashed out a sharp light that looked like a mysterious silver crack. It was accompanied by an evil purple blood-red radiance, and it hit Jiang Chen at close range. Puchi. Wah! Jiang Chen spat out a mouthful of blood, and a deep gash appeared on his body from his shoulder to his abdomen. Jiang Chen's face instantly paled, and he fell from the sky. It wasn't that the difference in strength between him and the two of them was too big. However, the combination of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's abilities could be said to be perfect. Both of them specialized in flying and ambushing. Nan Gongsheng's spatial techniques were hard to defend against, and his spatial domain had a strong restrictive effect on his enemies. Zhao Feng's golden Kuan's sacred lightning body was so strong that it could suppress the blood and physical bodies of living beings. The mutated Blood Devil Sun bloodline was extremely explosive, and when used with the sacred lightning body and the wind and lightning wings, its explosive power could threaten kings. More importantly, Zhao Feng's consciousness and cultivation countered Jiang Chen's, allowing him to grasp the latter's weaknesses. When a layer of ice blue armor appeared around Zhao Feng's body, and ripples of water and lightning appeared. Bam! 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 The nearby half-step kings and the backlash from Jiang Chen's injuries weren't able to threaten Zhao Feng at all. Since Zhao Feng had successfully cultivated the first water of wind lightning, his sacred lightning body was extremely resistant to water elemental attacks. Retreat. Zhao Feng entered Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain, and the two of them turned into a layer of silver light that blocked some of the attacks head-on and passed through the Jiang family. Brother Chen. The number one beauty of the Jiang family, Jiang Feishue, quickly went to support Jiang Chen. These two aren't normal. Jiang Chen's expression was filled with fear. There's a terrifying wicked power within the mystic-robed youth's domain. As for the purple-haired youth, he gives me the feeling that he's an emperor from the older generation. Whoosh! The members of the Jiang family watched helplessly as the layer of mysterious silver light flew over their heads. Apart from Jiang Chen, who was a domain-level king, the other half-step kings couldn't pose any real threat to them. Whoosh! 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 Right at this moment, Grand Duke Yuan's palace, the Chao family, the Dong family, the 13th prince, and company arrived. They were only 1 or 2 breaths away from surrounding Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Ji Lan. If we stop them now, we might be able to kill these two. Chao Yun's breathing quickened. The fact that Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were able to instantly injure Jiang Chen shocked the two of them. The purple-haired girl, Ji Lan, hesitated. She respected Zhao Feng, but there was still a shadow in her heart. She knew that this was the best chance to kill Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. However, instinct told her that this youth's left eye was a nightmare that couldn't be offended easily. Whoosh! Whoosh! Just as the layer of mystic silver light was about to close in. Pang! Pang! Chao Yun and Ji Lan's heartbeats sped up. Right at this moment, a wicked smile appeared on the purple-haired youth's face as he glanced over. His left eye turned into a misty purple world. Their hearts shook. In their senses, the youth's smile was mysterious, and the purple abyss in their vision was like a nightmare that was expanding endlessly, as if it was going to swallow the entire world. Whoosh! Whoosh! Until that layer of mysterious silver light flew across the nearby sky. who as if they had just woken up from a dream, their backs were drenched in cold sweat. Chapter 8:11. At the edge of the ruined ancient city, the geniuses and older elites of the forces glanced at the layer of silver light and left. The forces that participated in the pursuit included the Jiang, Dong, and Shi families of the 8 great families as well as the Chao and Ji families. Apart from the major families, Grand Duke Yuan's palace and the peak 3-star superpower 9 Darkness Palace. Even the 13th prince of the Great Gan Imperials was involved. Most of these pursuers had been robbed by the black-clothed, purple-haired duo or had interfered. At this moment the pursuers had unsightly expressions on their faces. They had almost let those 2 evildoers escape. What's the background of that black-clothed, purple-haired duo? How did they offend so many forces? Some of the onlookers nearby still had lingering fears. After all, these geniuses and elites all came from super forces of the Great Gan Lord dynasty. Ji Lan, Chao Yun, what happened just now? How did you let those 2 bastards escape? Jiang Qin of the Jiang family asked with a questioning look on his face. Just now, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had passed by the ambush point of the Ji Lan and Chao Yun after breaking through the Jiang family's blockade. If Ji Lan and Chao Yun had taken action, they might have succeeded if they had stopped them for another breath or 2. At this moment in time, everyone's gazes landed on Ji Lan and Chao Yun. Ji Lan and Chao Yun's foreheads were covered in sweat as if they had just woken up. You can't blame us. Ji Lan smiled bitterly as she thought back to the gaze of the purple-haired youth's left eye. Did we just get hit by that purple-haired youth's mental energy eye bloodline technique? Chao Yun's heart shook. Ji Lan remained silent, as if she agreed. At the last moment, the 2 were hesitating about whether or not to attack Zhao Feng. They didn't have much enmity with Zhao Feng. They were just prey that was killed by the enemy. How is this possible? Bullshit. That purple-haired bastard is only at the small origin core realm. How could his eye bloodline technique affect a void god realm king? The experts of the forces expressed their disbelief. At least, this excuse wasn't very convincing. This is the truth. Ji Lan's expression turned cold as she said unhappily, my purple star eyes were injured by his left eye bloodline. I even noticed that the purple-haired youth was the mastermind and leader of the group. As soon as he said that, the crowd was in a state of shock, causing even more doubts and disbelief. That purple-haired youth is only at the small origin core realm. How could he be the mastermind? I don't believe that you 2 kings will be affected by the eye bloodline technique of a small origin core realm. The 13th prince harumphed coldly. Most people didn't believe Ji Lan's deduction, but a few people were skeptical. Humph. Don't blame me for not warning you when you suffer. Ji Lan didn't bother to explain. Chao Yun believed her words without a doubt. What happened to us just now? Why didn't we have the courage to attack him? Chao Yun took a deep breath. He knew that he had been affected by Zhao Feng's eye bloodline, but he didn't know the details. It's very simple. Ji Lan let out a long breath and sighed, Zhao Feng successfully used the weakness in our hearts to control us. What? Chao Yun's heart shook. Thinking back, it really did happen. The 2 of them were wary of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng, so they were hesitant about whether they should attack or not. Furthermore, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had just attacked and heavily injured Jiang Qin, stunning them. Before that, Zhao Feng's eye bloodline had injured Ji Lan. Unknowingly, the 2 of them lacked courage and confidence, and they were even slightly traumatized. Zhao Feng had grasped the weakness in their hearts and revealed a mysterious smile as he used his left eye bloodline to affect their minds. The entire process. The 2 of them fell into a state of wariness, fear, and conflict. They didn't have the courage to attack. Therefore, this scene appeared, the 2 of them watched as Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng ran away, but they didn't do anything. We did indeed miss them for a long time. If we had been more determined and acted decisively just now, we might have been able to keep those two here. Qiao Yun couldn't help but sigh. Of course, the two of them were even more wary of Zhao Feng, and they felt how terrifying he was. So a powerful demonic Tao might arrive in this area, bringing with it a shocking pressure. What's going on? How did those two bastards get away? Jiu Wuji flew through the air. At this moment, the fight for the treasures near the golden bones had ended. Zhao Feng, Nan Gongsheng, and the Duanmu family were the biggest winners. Jiu Wuji and company had the advantage in numbers, but they had been played around. It's like this. Jiang Chen from the Jiang family roughly told them what had happened. After learning that the duo in black clothes and purple hair had escaped almost completely unharmed, Jiu Wuji was enraged. There were so many of you, but you let those two bastards get away. Jiu Wuji couldn't vent the anger in his heart. It was one thing for him to lose to Zhao Yufei from the Duanmu family. After all, she had the bloodline of the spiritual race and was too strong. But now, two unknown brats had caused chaos among the super forces, including the 9 Nether Palace, and had even plundered a huge amount of benefits. Jiu Wuji couldn't accept this no matter what. Those two bastards have unique abilities and shocking speed. We need to think about how to deal with them. An old and calm voice sounded. The owner of this voice was the wrinkled elder next to the 13th prince. In terms of strength, the wrinkled elder wasn't much weaker than Jiu Wuji. However, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had already escaped by the time he arrived. A while later, the leaders of the forces that Zhao Feng had robbed gathered together in the ruins of the ancient city. Very good, now that everyone's here, let's discuss how to chase after them and kill them. Jiu Wuji and the wrinkled elder looked at each other, and a faint smile appeared on their faces. In reality, the reason why the geniuses and elites of these forces wanted to chase after the black-clothed, purple-haired duo wasn't just because of the treasures on them. There was another important reason, and that was face. Some people just couldn't vent their anger. One had to know that these geniuses and elites all came from super forces. The 13th prince was a member of the Great Gan Imperials. If this matter was spread out, the Imperials, the super families, and the peak 3-star forces would lose all face. However, the Chao family and the Ji family didn't participate. They didn't have a deep feud with Zhao Feng. The Duanmu family also didn't participate. The Duanmu family was the beneficiary, so no one was surprised that they didn't participate in the hunt for the black-clothed, purple-haired duo. However, those who paid attention would find out. The black-clothed, purple-haired duo didn't attack the Duanmu family. Could it be that they were just scared of Zhao Yufei? Those who paid attention didn't believe that the black-clothed, purple-haired duo would be scared of anything. Ji Lan was one of those people. 2 days later, the ruins of the ancient city were turned upside down, and the forces all left. Weird. Those people seem to have a common goal. Zhao Yufei started to think. Jiu Wuji, the 13th prince, and company had left long ago. Who knew what they were planning? Yufei, I've heard the news. Jiu Wuji and the others have joined forces with several other forces to hunt down the two of them. The green-robed elder flew over. Chase after them. Zhao Yufei's eyebrows furrowed. She was slightly worried. Yufei, are you worried about that friend's safety? According to what I heard from Ji Lan, the black-clothed, purple-haired duo is extremely strong. The other purple-haired youth's ability is even more unique. He has a powerful soul eye bloodline. Even Ji Lan and Qiao Yun were defeated by him. The green-robed elder continued. Hearing this, Zhao Yufei's expression changed slightly, and her eyes flashed. Purple hair. Soul elemental, eye bloodline. How could all of this be so coincidental? Zhao Yufei started to think. The suspicions in her heart became stronger and stronger. However, the purple-haired youth's age, appearance, and technique were completely different from that person in her memories. Furthermore, purple hair and soul elemental bloodlines weren't unique to that person. For example, most of the Ji family's eye bloodlines were soul elemental, and their hair was purple. Brother Feng, did you also enter the divine illusion dimension? Zhao Yufei's clear eyes revealed a trace of beautiful, fanciful expectation. If Nan Gongxing could enter the divine illusion dimension, then why couldn't that person? Let's go. Zhao Yufei raised her pretty face and made a decision. Yufei, you want to? The green-robed elder asked. Try to find Nan Gongxing first. I have something to ask him. Zhao Yufei had a determined expression. There was no one left in the ruins of the ancient city. Within a mountain range in the divine illusion dimension, whoosh. A layer of profound silver light floated into an ancient forest in the mountain range. The blue-robed elder let out a breath. He was tired but excited. You're quite cautious after running for so long. However, the rewards this time are quite plentiful. Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng both had smiles on their faces. The two had gone crazy this time. They had robbed so many forces in the chaos and became everyone's target. Immediately, the two cleared out a quiet area in the depths of the forest and started to organize their rewards. Nan Gongsheng's rewards were mainly substandard god crystals. Just him alone had obtained several dozen substandard god crystals. These substandard god crystals were all placed in the spatial domain and used to nurture the evil god crystal. Zhao Feng could feel that Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain had become stronger over the past couple of days. The quality and element of his true yuan had changed. From the looks of it, Nan Gongsheng's strength was increasing, and a wicked aura started to appear on his body. Luckily, only Nan Gongsheng's power was affected by the soul calming pearl. The effect on his personality wasn't very obvious yet. Within the forest, Zhao Feng was also organizing his spoils of war. He didn't have many god crystals, only a few. However, the golden bones he had obtained were not simple, they contained the essence of power and laws of metal. When Zhao Feng cultivated the metal of wind lightning, the golden bones would be able to be used. Zhao Feng found a few remaining parts on the golden bones. A grayish gold belt was wrapped around the golden skeleton's waist. It was not very eye-catching. It wasn't very eye-catching, and there was a scarlet gold nose ring. Finally, on the feet of the golden skeleton, there was a pair of ancient green leather shoes, on which there were faint ancient and fine veins. Chapter 8:12. Meow Meow. The little thieving cat suddenly popped out, blinking its eyes as it examined the remaining parts of the golden skeleton. A gray gold belt, a scarlet gold nose ring, and a pair of green leather shoes. Thieving cat, pick whatever you want. Zhao Feng smiled and said. From its expression and actions, he could tell that the little thieving cat was interested in at least one of the treasures. In this life, Zhao Feng didn't need weapons as much as he did when he cultivated the golden Kun sacred lightning body. He had the sky-locking bow and the strengthened ice imperial spear, and that was enough. Meow. The little thieving cat flipped in the air and landed on the gray gold belt, then gently pinched it with its paws. A wisp of silver-gray light merged into the gray gold belt from its paws. When the gray gold belt suddenly changed shape and turned into a dark golden dragon snake whip that twisted in the air. Meow. The little thieving cat waved its paw, and the dark golden dragon snake whip turned into a golden dragon dozens of yards long that let out a soul-shaking roar. The invisible power made the ancient beasts nearby tremble in fear. Boom! The golden dragon seemed like it wanted to swallow and spit out as it soared into the sky, illuminating the clouds and creating all kinds of signs of the world. The inheritance of this dark golden dragon snake whip probably isn't any weaker than the Qiankuan sword. Nan Gongsheng's expression changed. Meow meow. The little thieving cat was extremely satisfied and shook its paw. The golden dragon quickly shrank and turned into a dark golden necklace that hung around its neck. It was obvious that the dark golden dragon snake whip had the ability to change the shape of metal. Thieving cat, you sure know how to pick. Zhao Feng pulled on its ears. Needless to say, among these 3 items, the most valuable one was taken by it. The remaining 2 items were the nose ring and the shoes. Zhao Feng's gaze landed on the dark green shoes and tried to put them on. Zhao Feng put on the shoes, and before he even circulated his true yuan, he felt his body become lighter. His speed and agility increased dramatically. When Zhao Feng merged his water of wind lightning true yuan into the shoes. Whoosh! A beam of green flame shot out from the ancient green shoes and instantly pushed Zhao Feng nearly 1,000 feet away. What a fast speed! Zhao Feng was shocked. Based on the initial analysis, this pair of shoes was a support-type treasure. It didn't have any offensive power, but its grade was close to the heaven grade. Zhao Feng was very satisfied with the function of the shoes. With this pair of shoes, Zhao Feng's speed was greatly increased. It could also enhance the explosive power of his sacred body and his mutant bloodline. Furthermore, this pair of shoes had a certain level of protection for the lower part of one's feet. With a powerful burst of speed, one could deal with all kinds of emergencies. Of course, Zhao Feng was still exploring the abilities of the ancient green shoes. He felt that this pair of shoes was somewhat related to the Heaven's legacy race civilization. At the very least, it was somewhat similar in style. Nan Gongsheng, this nose ring is yours. Zhao Feng smiled and generously handed the last nose ring to the dazed Nan Gongsheng. Since they were all parts of the golden skeleton, the ability of the nose ring shouldn't be bad. Nan Gongsheng took the nose ring and stuck it on his nose, merging his king intent and true yuan into it. A light suddenly flashed through Nan Gongsheng's eyes, and he looked gratefully at Zhao Feng. Next, Nan Gongsheng quickly put the nose ring on his nose. His originally handsome nose now had a wicked aura after putting on the scarlet gold nose ring. Nan Gongsheng, what's the use of this nose ring? Zhao Feng's face twitched. At this moment, Nan Gongsheng's aura had changed even more after putting on the nose ring. This nose ring might not be very useful to you, but it's like giving me a bloodline ability. Nan Gongsheng gave a mysterious smile and didn't explain. Zhao Feng guessed that this nose ring was also a support-type item. In reality, the 3 items were all support-type items, and they were worn by the owner of the golden skeleton. Within the forest, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng didn't say anything else and started to cultivate. With the help of the fortune in the divine illusion dimension, the two's strength had increased rapidly. Heart-nourishing soul wood. A translucent piece of green wood appeared in Zhao Feng's hand. The carvings on it were extremely dense, and it radiated a pure undulation of wood elemental soul power. Immediately, Zhao Feng circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique and absorbed the life force within the wood. With the help of the wood, Zhao Feng's soul became stronger. In terms of mastery of the Tao of the soul, Zhao Feng was even stronger than some peak emperors, and he was only second to the Emperor of Death. Zhao Feng then started to multitask. King Core. A dark purple crystal core appeared in Zhao Feng's hand. It was the crystal core of the purple wind lightning lion. This crystal core perfectly matched the elements of wind lightning. The water of wind lightning that he was currently cultivating lacked the element of water. Jellyfish essence. A smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face as a transparent blue ball around the size of a fist floated in front of him. This jellyfish essence was taken from the number 1 beauty of the Jiang family, Jiang Feishue. This meant that Zhao Feng's water of wind lightning would be able to break through to the next level without any problems. All he needed was some time. Time passed by. The aura radiating from Zhao Feng's body started to increase at a visible rate. An invisible undulation of soul power also appeared from Zhao Feng's body. The core of Zhao Feng's soul was extremely strong, and the undulation it gave off even made Nan Gongsheng, who was next to him, shake. Looks like this Zhao Feng really did steal someone else's body and revive. Nan Gongsheng had a guess. In the Tsang Sea, the left-eyed heavenly monarch appeared out of nowhere and shook the three spirit zones. But who would have thought that this legendary heaven's favorite would fall so quickly? Zhao Feng, didn't you kill the Emperor of Death? Apparently, you even appeared in the three sacred lands after that. Why did you? Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but be curious. Even he could only look up to Zhao Feng's legend. The cursed words of death that the Emperor of Death used before he died is something that even sacred lords and demigods can't undo. I had to pay a heavy price to get rid of it. Zhao Feng murmured as he cultivated. Nan Gongsheng's heart shook. Not many people knew about this secret. If it wasn't for the cursed words of death, what level would Zhao Feng have reached? Nan Gongsheng had heard a bit about the cursed words of death. It was already a miracle that Zhao Feng was able to get rid of the cursed words of death. Now that Zhao Feng had stolen someone else's body, it was hard to imagine how he would rise and sweep through everything. He couldn't help but smile. Nan Gongsheng was extremely excited. He was actually able to work together with the left-eyed heavenly emperor, who shook the entire Tsang Ocean. Zhao Feng, don't worry. Nan Gongsheng, won't drag you down. Nan Gongsheng took a deep breath. He already knew that Zhao Feng's path of recultivation was unstoppable. There weren't many geniuses in the Lord dynasty that could be compared to Zhao Feng. Even Zhao Yufei, who had the bloodline of the spiritual race, seemed to respect and rely on Zhao Feng. The current Zhao Yufei had grown to a level that made Nan Gongsheng feel helpless. However, perhaps because the situation was too chaotic, or perhaps because of some other reason, Zhao Feng didn't acknowledge Zhao Yufei. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Crack! The heart-healing soul wood in Zhao Feng's hand broke into several pieces. Soul power has stabilized at the early stages of the Void God realm and is close to the domain level of a normal domain level king. Zhao Feng nodded his head. As his soul power recovered, his emperor intent also recovered 20 to 30%. In terms of intent, Zhao Feng was comparable to a peak-tier king. In terms of soul Dao techniques, no one in the divine illusion dimension could be compared to him. A while later, when a howling whirlpool of water appeared in the air above Zhao Feng's head and gathered the power of wind and water lightning. Peak Small Origin Core Realm. A smile formed on Zhao Feng's face as he nodded his head. His wind lightning technique had reached the 6th level, and adding on his cultivation and the endless supply of resources, his cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. At this moment, the jellyfish essence in Zhao Feng's hand had dimmed by 30 to 40%. It would still take some time to break through to the Great Origin Core realm. However, apart from the lack of True Yuan, the strength of Zhao Feng's True Yuan had already surpassed some early-stage Great Origin Core realms. The ancient Dream Realm spiritual fruit he had eaten a few days ago had mostly been digested as well. Zhao Feng's state of existence and sacred lightning body were both slowly becoming stronger. I'm just a sliver away from breaking through to the peak 4th level of the sacred lightning body. At that time, I'll be invincible against those at the Origin Core realm, and I'll even be able to fight against kings for a short amount of time. Excitement appeared in Zhao Feng's eyes. During this period of time, Nan Gongsheng's strength had also increased significantly. When a wicked silver and purple light surrounded Nan Gongsheng's body, and a surge of wicked power made the nearby beasts tremble. Shwa! Nan Gongsheng's hair started to glow with a faint purple light. A purple and blood-colored crescent moon symbol appeared on his forehead, as if it was the mark of an evil god. Purple hair. Zhao Feng paused for a moment. Now. Nan Gongsheng's hair had also turned purple, and the two seemed to be a perfect match. Within the forest, just as Zhao Feng was about to break through to the peak 4th level of the sacred lightning body, the scarlet golden nose ring on Nan Gongsheng's face shook slightly, and his nose twitched. Zhao Feng, it seems like the auras of some people are approaching. Nan Gongsheng said. Is this the ability of Nan Gongsheng's nose ring? Zhao Feng was slightly surprised, but he didn't dare to delay as he used his god's spiritual eye to scan the distance. Retreat! Zhao Feng's heart jumped. His left eye saw the figures of the pursuers surrounding the forest. Whoosh! Whoosh! A layer of demonic silver-purple light brought the two of them out of the ancient forest. Scoundrel, surrender now. The two had just escaped out of the ancient forest when they were chased by a king and several half-step kings nearby. The king was a youth from Grand Duke Yuan's palace, and he had participated in the attack against Zhao Yufei. Stay here. The young king blocked them from the side. Fuck off. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng roared in unison. Within the silver and purple light, the duo didn't even turn their heads as they threw out a punch and a palm. Bam! Bam! A layer of burning bright red fist force and a demonic silver-purple palm blade enveloped the area. Wah! The young king's body was sent flying with a bam. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face became as white as paper. He couldn't stand up for a long time. As for the other half-step kings, they were blown far away by the powerful wind wave before they could even get close. Those two bastards have dyed their hair purple. Their strength has increased so much. The expressions of the pursuers changed dramatically when they saw this. Chapter 8:13. Whoosh! Whoosh! The layer of silver and purple light sped toward the mountain range in the distance, and its speed became faster and faster. After getting past the young king from Grand Duke Yuan's palace, no one else could stop Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Very few kings that chased after them were as fast as Nan Gongsheng. He's too fast. The kings of the Shi and Dong families chased for a while, but they could only watch as the layer of silver and purple light went further and further away. It was several times harder to stop a spatial king than a king of the same cultivation. How did the plan to surround them fail? A dark and angry voice sounded from the other side of the forest. Whoosh! A tall bald male wearing a black battle robe flew over with a dominating demonic Dao magnificent power. The newcomer was Jiu Wuji from Nine Darkness Palace. After that, the 13th prince and the wrinkled elder arrived. We followed them layer by layer until they surrounded us. At the critical moment, we were detected by those two. The wrinkled elder sighed. They had countless talents and abilities, and many of them were good at tracking. After several days of elimination and meticulous tracking, the various factions determined where Zhao Feng and Zhao Luo were and began to surround them. However, they didn't expect that. At the last moment, Nan Gongsheng and Nan Gongsheng were alerted. On the other side, in the clouds above the mountain range, Nan Gongsheng, the ability of your nose ring isn't bad. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. When he first picked it, Zhao Feng wasn't interested in it because it didn't fit his taste. So, Nan Gongsheng's nose ring gave him a super-sensitive sense of smell. This sense of smell could be used for tracking and judging the elements of various treasures. The nose ring could even filter out some of the poisons in the outside world. It was because of this nose ring that Nan Gongsheng was able to smell the auras of the pursuers. He could then use it with Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye to find the best escape route. For Nan Gongsheng, this was like a supportive bloodline ability. Of course, the nose ring didn't mean much to Zhao Feng. His god's spiritual eye had a similar supportive ability, but it was even stronger. The difference was that one was vision, while the other was smell. Thief, where do you think you're going? A majestic and astonishing demonic power surged from the mountains behind him. The hearts of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng shook. Whoosh! A bald burly man with a pair of black flame demon wings on his back swooped over aggressively like a black wings demon lord. What incredible speed! Solemnity appeared on Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's faces. This Jiu Wuji was indeed worthy of being one of the top kings of the older generation. His cultivation was deep, and his secret techniques were powerful. At this moment, In terms of speed, Jiu Wuji had the advantage and was able to catch up to Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Baldy. Do you think you can stop us by yourself? Nan Gongsheng laughed coldly. Indeed. Only Jiu Wuji could catch up to them with his speed. Perhaps the wrinkled old man by the 13th prince's side had some ability, but the old man had to protect the prince, so he had to be wary. Let's give it a try then. Jiu Wuji couldn't help but lick his lips with a cruel expression. Although he was an elite of the older generation, his true strength was enough to rank him in the top 30 of the Imperial Genius rankings, maybe even higher. Boom! The black flame demon wings on Jiu Wuji's back created a storm of black flames that caused the sky nearby to darken. A surge of demonic power merged with the power of the demonic Dao domain and instantly slammed into Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng. Boom! Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng's figures shook, and the spatial domain they were in started to shake and show signs of becoming unstable. At the same time, a layer of pitch-black aura tried to squeeze into Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain. Not good. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng retreated as a pressure swept over them from every direction. The initial clash of the spatial domains instantly revealed the difference in strength between the two kings. Although Nan Gongsheng was a rare genius and had a heaven spiritual body and a spatial spiritual body, he hadn't been able to become a king for long. On the other hand, Jiu Wuji's True Yuan foundation was extremely deep, and his techniques were extremely proficient. His spatial domain was extremely strong, and it wasn't any weaker than a peak-tier king's. Demonic Sky Hand. Jiu Wuji roared as one of his arms started to burn and expand, turning into a giant pitch-black hand that could pierce through heaven and earth. Wang! The enormous, demonic hand of the sky drew upon surging black clouds and flames, and with a wave of it, the heavens and the earth shattered. Its combat power broke through the barrier of cultivation and reached the peak of the king realm. Bam! Bam! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng fought back together, but they were still smashed into the abyss by the demonic sky hand. Firstly, Jiu Wuji suppressed them in terms of spatial domain. After that, Jiu Wuji's foundation, mastery, and cultivation had all reached the peak of the void god realm. On the other hand, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's main battle power was still Nan Gongsheng. Up until now, Zhao Feng had been mainly supporting them. Ha ha ha! Two thieves. I alone am enough to kill the two of you. Jiu Wuji let out a roar and charged down without any fear. In reality, Jiu Wuji already had the possibility of becoming a peak-tier king 10 years ago. However, in order to increase the chances of entering the divine illusion dimension, he restricted his cultivation and remained at the domain level. This was because, the chances of a peak-tier king entering the divine illusion dimension were extremely low. Even 4-star sects didn't have much confidence. Let's see how long your secret technique can last. Nan Gongsheng landed on the ground, and the purple crescent moon mark on his forehead flashed as his purple hair blew in the wind. On the ground, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng both had purple hair, and they looked at each other. Go! The two attacked at the same time. Sacred Lightning Body. The bones in Zhao Feng's body cracked as his body grew taller, and a layer of silver-blue metal appeared on his body. Boom! A circle of faint physical force from his sacred body shot toward Jiu Wuji in the air. With the strengthening of the sacred lightning body, Zhao Feng's sacred body was able to fight against a king for a short period of time. And this was just his basic strength. Wings of wind and lightning. A pair of wings made of water and lightning spread behind Zhao Feng's back, and they summoned a powerful surge of heaven and earth wind lightning. It wasn't over yet. Open! A layer of bright red flames surrounded Zhao Feng's body, and he seemed like a flaming demonic sovereign. After these two boosts, the power of Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body had reached the level of a king, and it was even slightly stronger than normal kings. There was still one last step. Whoosh! Boom! The green shoes under Zhao Feng's feet shot out a beam of green flames that increased his speed by several times. With the boost of speed, Zhao Feng's explosive power had reached a terrifying level. Jiu Wuji only saw an afterimage flash, and a tall figure with flaming wings and indescribable magnificent power appeared in front of him. Boom! Pang! Zhao Feng's powerful punch instantly arrived before Jiu Wuji. How is this possible? Jiu Wuji's body trembled in disbelief. This youth's attack had actually passed through his domain and the demonic Dao force field around him and reached his true body. Break! With a flash of silver, Nan Gongseng used his spatial movement technique to close in and slashed out a silver-purple wavy blade from his palm. The terrifying power of space was enough to turn everything into dust. Furthermore, Nan Gongsheng's attack contained the evil god crystal's unique characteristics. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this instant, Jiu Wuji faced the furious counterattack of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Demonic Sky Force Field. Jiu Wuji stood proudly in the air, and the space around him twisted and turned black. It was as if space was collapsing. That powerful force field was able to absorb and divert the attack to the maximum. Demonic Sky Hand. Jiu Wuji waved his black hand, and black flames once again crushed down on Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain shook once more. Zhao Feng's physical body started to hurt under the pressure of the black hand. Hee, so what if it's just a momentary burst of power? Jiu Wuji snickered coldly. He could guess that Zhao Feng might be a king or even an emperor that had reincarnated. It wasn't rare for Void God Realm kings to reincarnate. As long as they could endure Zhao Feng's burst of power, they would be able to counterattack and suppress him. Bam! Bam! As Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng fell into a disadvantage once more, they were forced back to the ground by the demonic sky hand. Whoosh! At the same time, the 13th prince, the wrinkled elder, and the other experts chased over. Let's see where you can run at the last moment. A smug look appeared in Jiu Wuji's eyes. As long as reinforcements arrived, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng wouldn't be able to escape. Final attack. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other before unleashing explosive attacks toward Jiu Wuji from the ground. Laughable. A mocking smile appeared on Jiu Wuji's face. The huge difference between their foundational strength wasn't something that could be made up for with intent or explosive techniques. However, Jiu Wuji's body suddenly froze. When Zhao Feng's punch combined his bloodline power and physical force created a weird dimension in his vision that made him go insane. Illusion Maze Domain. Jiu Wuji's senses were instantly blinded, and he found himself in a maze filled with mist. His control over reality was reduced by 40 to 50%. Pang! Pang! Shua! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's attacks instantly pierced through Jiu Wuji's weakened demonic sky force field. Wah! Jiu Wuji spat out a mouthful of blood as he struggled out of the illusion maze domain. Although Zhao Feng had reincarnated, he hadn't recultivated the Tao of the soul, so he still had this soul Tao domain. Now that his soul had recovered to the level of a king, the power of the illusion maze domain was back to its peak. Meow meow. Before Jiu Wuji could react, a golden dragon shadow that was dozens of feet long wrapped around his body. Damn it! Jiu Wuji's body tensed as a gray golden whip wrapped around him, and surges of golden dragon aura entered his body. Baldi, die! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's attacks descended once more, and they were accompanied by the interference of the Soul Dao domain. Arg! Jiu Wuji screamed as he barely managed to break free from the little thieving cat's golden whip. Boom! Whoosh! Whoosh! Jiu Wuji fell from the sky, and his body was covered in dense, blood-colored wounds. There were even some burnt marks on his body. It was a gruesome sight. Jiu Wuji actually lost. The wrinkled male, the 13th prince, and company were filled with shock when they saw this scene. At the same time, a beautiful purple figure landed in the forest where Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were cultivating, and her expression changed slightly. I'm too late. Nan Gongsheng, you need to hold on. Chapter 8:14. In the air above the mountain, boom. Jiu Wuji's tall, bald figure fell from the sky and smashed into the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Right at this moment the 13th prince, the wrinkled elder, and company had just arrived, and their hearts shook. Everyone knew how strong Jiu Wuji was. Back in the ruined ancient city, only Zhao Yufei was able to suppress him. It could be said that it was hard for Jiu Wuji to meet an opponent below the emperor level, and his battle power wasn't any weaker than some famous peak-tier kings. The battle ended so quickly. How did the purple-haired bandits do it? The wrinkled elder was dazed. They had just arrived and saw the result, but they didn't see what had happened. From the looks of it, Jiu Wuji and the purple-haired bandits hadn't met for long. Meow. A silver-gray cat the size of a palm condensed a gray-golden whip into a necklace and wore it around its neck. That cat. The experts that arrived felt weird. The wrinkled elder and the 13th prince could faintly see the little thieving cat participate in the battle between kings. Retreat. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng flew into the distance in a layer of silver-purple light. The thieving cat that had just appeared had also disappeared. Cough. Cough. Jiu Wuji barely managed to climb up from the dust. He was extremely weak, and his face was filled with fear and unwillingness. Jiu Wuji, even if you can't beat those two brats, you shouldn't have lost so badly. The genius king of the Jiang family, Jiang Chen, had just arrived. Some of the experts that arrived later were full of surprise, and their eyes twinkled. Under this situation, no one else dared to chase after the purple-haired bandits. Even if they had the guts, they didn't have the speed. I underestimated the enemy. That purple-haired youth. Jiu Wuji had a solemn expression. He only briefly explained what had happened and didn't say anything about his guesses about Zhao Feng. In reality, Jiu Wuji controlled the situation in the beginning. However, Zhao Feng's Soul Dao domain affected the situation at the end. Adding on the little thieving cat's sneak attack, Jiu Wuji's boat failed miserably and he lost completely. If they fought again, Jiu Wuji might not necessarily win, but at least he wouldn't lose so quickly and miserably. It seems that what Jilan said was true. The truly terrifying one is that purple-haired youth. The wrinkled old man pondered. Jiu Wuji, the young king of Grand Duke Yuan's palace, and the others all agreed. Everyone's attention was attracted by Nan Gongsheng, and they completely ignored the purple-haired youth next to him. The bloody truth proved that the neglected purple-haired youth was the truly terrifying one. Near the dusty mountain range, the leaders and elites of the encirclement forces gradually gathered. After this battle, everyone lost confidence in hunting down the purple-haired thieves. After all, the grudge between them and the purple-haired thieves hadn't reached the point where they had to fight to the death. However, Jiu Wuji, Jiang Chen, the 13th prince, and company weren't willing to give up so easily. Whoosh! At a certain moment in time, a brilliant violet figure flashed over from the horizon behind him, and it surged with an enormous and shocking fluctuation of origin energy of the heavens and the earth. Who are you? The elites of the forces roared. It's Zhao Yufei. The expressions of Jiu Wuji and the other kings changed dramatically. Whoosh! Soon, a beautiful and elegant purple-robed fairy landed near the mountain range. Why did Zhao Yufei suddenly interfere in this situation? Zhao Yufei, is the Duanmu family colluding with the purple-haired thieves? Jiu Wuji's expression was grim as he questioned. The purple-haired thieves were the only ones who didn't rob the Duanmu family in the ruined ancient city. Purple-haired thieves. How could you let those two escape with your strength? Zhao Yufei said expressionlessly. Hearing that, Jiu Wuji instantly became angry from embarrassment. Even though he was an elite of the older generation, he had lost to Zhao Yufei and the purple-haired thieves. He had lost all his face. The expressions of some of the leaders and elites present were ugly as well. Sister Yufei. The eyes of the 13th prince, who was wearing purple and gold battle robes, lit up, and he immediately came over to chat with her. The wrinkled elder couldn't help but sigh helplessly. Some of the people who knew what was going on revealed expressions of understanding and started to talk. The 13th prince's love for Zhao Yufei wasn't a big secret in the noble circles of the imperial capital. Zhao Yufei and the 13th prince's age were close. The 13th prince saw Zhao Yufei's beauty and aura at a random gathering in the imperial capital, and he was instantly attracted to her. Zhao Yufei had the bloodline of the spiritual race, so her skin and appearance were like that of a goddess. Normal women couldn't be compared to her at all. In the Great Gan Lord dynasty, countless people and geniuses thought of Zhao Yufei as a goddess. Among them, the 13th prince, who had a high status, was one of the strongest competitors. Although the 13th prince wasn't very outstanding among the princes, the sacred emperor of the Great Gan Lord dynasty liked him and even gave him the sacred emperor's sword to protect him. According to some rumors, the imperial family of the Great Gan Lord dynasty once proposed a marriage to the Duanmu family, and even the sacred emperor wanted to bring the 13th prince and Zhao Yufei together. Is that true? Why would the declining Duanmu family reject such a chance? Low murmurs could be heard from the crowd. Some young geniuses looked at the 13th prince with envy and jealousy. If he could marry a goddess with such a noble bloodline, it would be the dream of many geniuses and forces. Unfortunately, there were differences in birth, and normal geniuses didn't even have the right to chase after Zhao Yufei. Sister Yufei, the situation is like this. The 13th prince had a passionate expression as he told her about the process of chasing after the purple-haired bandits. In the past, Zhao Yufei was very cold to him. However, this time, the goddess in his heart asked him about it, and the 13th prince was overjoyed. Therefore, the 13th prince spilled out all the details he knew. What surprised him was that Zhao Yufei seemed to be listening very seriously. When she heard a kitten, Zhao Yufei's beautiful eyes flashed with an unprecedented splendor. Brother Feng, you really appeared? But why? Joy and surprise appeared in Zhao Yufei's eyes. The 13th prince had never seen her like this before. She was as lively and beautiful as the girl next door. The eyes of the beauty in his vision seemed to become hazy, and her eyebrows would occasionally furrow as if she was thinking deeply. The 13th prince was intoxicated by this scene. Zhao Yufei. What is your goal in interfering with this? Jiu Wuji said in a deep tone. He realized that Zhao Yufei seemed to be very concerned about the purple-haired bandits. It's obvious that I also want to chase after those two bandits. Zhao Yufei said with a cold expression. Ah! The geniuses and elites of the various factions were shocked. Chase after them? Your Duanmu family doesn't seem to have any enmity with those two bandits. In fact, they even benefit from each other. Jiu Wuji's expression was cold. Some of the older elites present also revealed puzzled expressions. Zhao Yufei also wanted to chase after the purple-haired bandits, but she didn't seem to have a good reason. Jiu Wuji, when you fought with those two bandits, did you feel that there was a pure god crystal in the spatial domain of the youth in black? It wasn't a substandard god crystal. Zhao Yufei had a smile on her face. A pure god crystal. Jiu Wuji and company couldn't help but reveal thoughtful expressions. That's right. When I fought with the youth in black, I felt a powerful undulation of power in his spatial domain. Jiang Chen nodded his head and said. Jiu Wuji, Jiang Chen, and company had clashed with Nan Gongxing before, so they could faintly feel the aura of the evil god crystal. My bloodline aura is extremely sensitive to crystals that contain high-quality yuan qi, let alone true god crystals. Zhao Yufei explained. Hearing that, the geniuses present understood. Apparently, Zhao Yufei had the bloodline of the spiritual race, which was one of the 10,000 ancient races. Her compatibility with the heaven-earth yuan qi had reached an unbelievable level. True divine crystals were priceless treasures even in the dynasties of the continent. Some sacred lords and even demigods would probably fight over pure god crystals. Great! With Yufei joining us, we should be able to kill those 2 bandits. The 13th prince was overjoyed. He wanted nothing more than to be able to spend more time with the goddess in his heart. Although Zhao Yufei was the adopted daughter of the Grand Elder of the Duanmu family, she had the noble bloodline of the spiritual race. Any force in the world would want to marry her. If Lady Yufei joins us, our chances of success will increase dramatically. Jiang Chen from the Jiang family nodded his head. The number 1 beauty of the Jiang family, Jiang Feishue, started to chat with Zhao Yufei. The 2 of them had met once before. The addition of Zhao Yufei made the morale of the other forces increase dramatically. Adding on the allure of the evil god crystal, the pursuers became even more motivated. With Zhao Yufei, Jiu Wuji, and the other king geniuses as the center, the leaders gathered and started to discuss what to do next. Brother Feng, I will definitely find you. Zhao Yu made up her mind. She believed that after a few years, Zhao Feng would be able to confirm that Lu Qinxin was dead and would return to her side. Within the divine illusion dimension, in the sky above the boundless sea of trees, a silver-purple light dragged 2 figures as they moved quickly. Hu Xiaofeng and Nan Gongsheng let out a breath as they looked back at the mountain behind them. Zhao Feng was slightly weaker. Due to the limitations of his cultivation, it took a lot of energy and bloodline to unleash such strong battle power. If Jiu Wuji is so strong, then what level has Zhao Yufei reached? Nan Gongsheng murmured. Back then in the true martial sacred land, he and Zhao Yufei had fought to a draw. Now, Zhao Yufei had surpassed him. Nan Gongsheng, with your current growth speed, you'll soon reach the peak of the Lord Dynasty geniuses. You didn't even use your trump cards like the Qiankuan sword in the fight just now. Zhao Feng shook his head and smiled after drinking a mouthful of spiritual liquid. Jiu Wuji was an elite of the older generation, and his strength was probably in the top 30 of the Imperial Genius rankings. Nan Gongsheng was silent for a while as he thought about how strong Zhao Feng was compared to the top geniuses of the Great Gan Imperial Geniuses. Continue to chase after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Zhao Feng chose this path. He guessed that now that Jiu Wuji was heavily injured, those forces wouldn't be able to chase after him anymore. But what Zhao Feng didn't know was that with Zhao Yufei's participation, not only had the pursuers not given up, they had even gotten stronger. Chapter 8:15. 2 days later, in front of a waterfall, a youth sat in front of the waterfall, cultivating with their eyes closed. Their purple hair was very eye-catching in the wind and waves. Crystal core of a king. Essence of a jellyfish. 2 treasures appeared in Zhao Feng's left and right hands. Among them, the aqua-blue translucent sphere had already dimmed by 40 to 50%. The crystal core of a king still retained most of its luster. After I use up the essence of a jellyfish, my cultivation might be able to break through to the Great Origin Core realm. Zhao Feng murmured. In reality, the true yuan within his body first increased in quality before increasing in quantity. The quality of Zhao Feng's true yuan was now even stronger than normal early-stage Great Origin Core realms. The benefit of this was that his battle power would be stronger if his intent was more profound. Half a day later, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng opened their eyes at almost the same time. Nan Gongsheng's nose ring trembled slightly, and his nose twitched a few times. Zhao Feng's left eye constricted as he looked into the distance. Those people haven't given up yet? Zhao Feng's expression was grim. Darkness also appeared on Nan Gongsheng's face. At this moment, the pursuers hadn't found this place yet. However, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's senses and items had already sensed it and found it. Should we go back and kill a few of them as a warning? Nan Gongsheng's expression went cold, and the purple and blood-colored crescent moon on his forehead flashed. Zhao Feng shook his head. These people have seen our strength, but they still dare to chase after us. This means that they have something to rely on. In comparison, Zhao Feng was more rational. The reason why Lin Yun was able to defeat Jiu Wuji earlier was due to the fact that Jiu Wuji had underestimated him. No matter what, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng weren't strong enough by themselves. Unless they had battle power on par with Zhao Yufei, they wouldn't be able to defeat Jiu Wuji and the other kings without fear of numbers. Retreat. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng merged into the depths of the complicated bay under the cover of a layer of silver and purple light. Zhao Feng, when can we go on a killing spree? Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but say. The power of the evil god crystal allowed his strength to soar rapidly, but it also affected his temperament. When my sacred lightning body breaks through to the 5th level and my emperor intent recovers by about 50%, these pursuers will just be ants. A sharp light flashed in Zhao Feng's eyes. After entering the divine illusion dimension, the most important thing for him was profit. Right now, taking the risk of becoming enemies with those powerful teams was simply not worth it. The will of a great emperor. Nan Gongsheng's heart shook. It wasn't hard to imagine that the left-eyed heavenly lord might be able to regain his former glory when the martial monarchs were recovered by 50%. Of course. The recovery of willpower was based on the foundation of the soul. Right now, Zhao Feng urgently lacked those soul path treasures. Ordinary soul path treasures were not very useful for his current soul recovery. Whoosh! The silver and purple light that they were in followed the aura of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon and slowly closed in. The aura of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon is becoming stronger and stronger. Its goal seems to be very clear after breaking through the seal. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. At this moment he wasn't the only one who could follow the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Nan Gongsheng also had the ability to smell through his nose ring. At the same time, the demonic beasts that the two of them encountered or caught a glimpse of were getting stronger and stronger. They could occasionally see the aura of a king within some beast packs. Sometimes, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng didn't want to cause trouble, so they took a detour. Some beasts had special abilities and would appear in groups. Even a group couldn't fight them head-on. At a certain moment, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng flew to a vast area of hills. Wait! Nan Gongsheng's expression changed dramatically as he suddenly smelled something. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye couldn't help but see the hard mounds beneath his feet. Boom! All of a sudden, an enormous and boundless gravitational force came from all around the mounds. Their blood started to boil. Even with Nan Gongsheng's foundation as a domain-level king, his body sank. If it were a normal Great Origin Core realm, they would have been smashed to the ground and shattered into pieces. Rumble! The hill under his feet suddenly shook. Sand and pebbles flew everywhere, and a hill troll that was as large as a mountain appeared. In front of the monster, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were like children in front of a giant. If it weren't for the fact that Zhao Feng's Golden Kuan's sacred lightning body had almost reached the peak 4th level, just the pressure alone would be enough to make other Origin Core realms cough out blood and die. Roar! The mountain-sized monster roared and waved its stone pillar toward Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng with hatred in its eyes. Dodge! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng quickly retreated in a layer of silver and purple light. However, the mountain-sized monster had its own gravitational domain, and it was as if they had fallen into a swamp, causing their speed to decrease dramatically. Even Nan Gongsheng's talent in space was restricted. Boom! Crack! The mountain-sized monster waved its stone pillar, and a bottomless ravine appeared in the hills. Sacred body physical force. Silver and blue tattoos appeared around Zhao Feng's body, and a powerful physical force covered his fist as he punched toward the mountain-sized monster. A layer of silver and purple light appeared in Nan Gongsheng's palm and slashed toward the mountain-sized monster. Pang! Pang! Zhao Feng's bloodline and physical force attacks seemed to hit a metal wall. The mountain-sized monster didn't move at all, and only a scorch mark was left on its body. Whoosh! Whoosh! Nan Gongsheng's attack only managed to remove a layer of stone from the mountain-sized monster. That kind of terrifying physique and defensive power made the two of them suck in a breath of cold air. So, it's a mountain king. A pair of wings made of water and lightning extended from Zhao Feng's back, and his green shoes shot out a beam of green flames. Whoosh! Zhao Feng's figure instantly shot out and left the gravitational domain of the Mountain King. Boom! The area where Zhao Feng disappeared was shattered by the stone pillar. Even the body of a king would be turned into mincemeat. Shwa! At the same time, Nan Gongsheng used a spatial technique and flew away. If it was a normal king, they might have died. Luckily, their strength was extraordinary. The defense of this mountain king is almost unparalleled amongst those of the same cultivation. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng met up in the sky. Back then, Zhao Feng had met a similar mountain-sized monster in the Floating Crest Palace, but its bloodline was a bit weaker. It was only at the Origin Core realm. However, for Zhao Feng back then, the mountain-sized monster at the Origin Core realm was unparalleled. Wu the Mountain King on the ground had an expression of hatred. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but be surprised. Soon, the two of them discovered a pile of hill giant monster corpses dozens of miles away. In terms of size, many of the mountain kings were bigger than the one in front of them. There are probably 4 or 5 mountain kings here, and they all died at the same time. Nan Gongsheng's expression changed dramatically. If they wanted to kill a mountain king, they would have to pay a heavy price. From the looks of it, one person did it, and it was done cleanly and cleanly. Zhao Feng concluded with his god's spiritual eye. This conclusion shocked Nan Gongsheng. One person easily killed 4 or 5 mountain kings. What level was that person's strength? The battle power of the person who did it is at least comparable to an emperor. Zhao Feng analyzed further. After that, Zhao Feng found a pair of human footprints nearby and determined that the person who did it was most likely an outsider that entered the divine illusion dimension. Could it be that person's goal is the same as ours? Nan Gongsheng had a solemn expression. The two continued to chase for a while, and Nan Gongsheng felt that the aura of that person seemed to be chasing after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon as well. However, that was also within reason. That person had battle power comparable to an emperor, so he was obviously courageous. Whoosh! The two continued forward and didn't give up on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Right at this moment, whoosh! On the other side of the hill, a bright sword light of lightning flashed through the air. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng felt an aura that was even stronger than Jiu Wuji's. The aura of the newcomer was close to the peak Void God realm. Fellow humans, why aren't you leaving? A handsome male wearing purple and green battle robes appeared within the sword light of lightning. He held an ancient green lightning sword in his hand. The quality and aura of the ancient green lightning sword in his hand weren't any weaker than Nan Gongsheng's Qiankuan sword. Zhao Feng faintly felt that this man's face was somewhat familiar. Whoosh! The purple and green-robed male flew through the air and stumbled in midair. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, and his complexion wasn't good. Leave. Why? Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had weird expressions. However, the aura of the other party and his weapons and equipment made them wary. Boom! Suddenly, an invisible force of gravity from the hill below bombarded the injured man's body. King of the Hill. The expression of the purple and green-robed male changed slightly. He had been attacked by the King of the Hill while he was warning Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Sky Lightning 9 God Tribulation Slash. The purple-robed man slashed out with the ancient azure lightning sword in his hand, unleashing a dazzling bolt of lightning that covered the dark sky. Crack! The gigantic King of the Mountain below was cut into two by the sword strike, and the area was charred. What strength! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other and couldn't help but be surprised. What force did this purple and green-robed male come from? How did he have such terrifying battle power? The non-human genius of the Dark Moon Lord Dynasty, ranked 9th on the Imperial Genius Rankings, Wei Jing, is chasing after us. You two should leave immediately. Don't get dragged into this. The purple and green-robed male wiped the blood from his mouth and turned into a bolt of lightning that shot through the air. Imperial Genius Rankings. Wei Jing. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were sure that this purple and green-robed male was also being chased. However, the direction the purple and green-robed male was running in was the opposite direction of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Right at this moment, in the distant horizon, a faint blue rain of light fell, accompanied by the scene of lightning crisscrossing. Ha ha ha! Ninth Prince. Let's see where you can run to. A tall non-human male with blue scales could be faintly seen within the rain of light. Arg! There were still some Imperials that were being chased by the rain of light, and screams sounded from them. The bodies of some geniuses and elites started to freeze and melt under the rain of light. Chapter 8:16. The expressions of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng changed dramatically as they faced the rain of light. Those below the Void God realm wouldn't be able to last long against the corrosive rain of light. This rain of light seemed to be a natural talent of the non-human genius Wei Jing as he flew. This is the natural talent of summon clouds and summon rain. Zhao Feng sighed in his heart as he looked over. This non-human male was covered in scales and had a blue horn on his head. His appearance was similar to the serpent dragon race. In terms of bloodline, this non-human male Wei Jing might be similar to the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon from before. Whoosh! 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 The rain of light covered a large area, and a portion of it soon reached this area. Let's avoid it for now. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were covered in a layer of silver and purple light as they flew in the opposite direction. At this moment, the two of them didn't bother chasing after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon anymore. The non-human male Wei Jing's cultivation had reached the peak of the Void God realm. He was the genius with the highest cultivation that Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had met in the Divine Illusion dimension. One had to know that. Zhao Feng was only at the middle stages of the Void God realm at his peak in the Tsang Ocean. On the other hand, Wei Jing's bloodline was extraordinary, and his background wasn't simple. His strength couldn't be measured by cultivation. Whoosh! Whoosh! Behind Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng, the rain of dark blue light covered heaven and earth. Layers of ice formed on the ground of the hills, and the blue rain of light left behind corroded holes that were so deep that one couldn't see the bottom. The rocks here were extremely tough. After all, they could give birth to beasts like the Mountain King. But under the rain of blue light, these rocks were corroded like tofu. So, this is the strength of the 9th-ranked Imperial Genius. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng felt uneasy and cold as they retreated. The Great Gan Imperial Genius ranking didn't just include the geniuses within the Great Gan Lord Dynasty, it also included the geniuses of the nearby super forces. What was even more troublesome was that, the cold power emitted by the rain of blue light could affect the surrounding environment. An invisible coldness spread through the air, and Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's speed of retreat decreased dramatically. I can't dodge it anymore, Nan Gongsheng exclaimed as he slowly unleashed his spatial domain. Zhao Feng's expression was calm. He knew that he couldn't avoid it. In terms of speed, the peak-tier King Wei Jing was more than twice as fast as Zhou Wuji. On top of that, the blue rain also had the effect of reducing speed. Pu. Drops of blue rain soon landed on Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. That dark blue rain was a domain that came with his bloodline latent ability. It could even permeate through space. Sacred Lightning Body. A layer of metallic blue and silver luster appeared on Zhao Feng's body. Puff! Puff! The deep blue rain of light landed on Zhao Feng's body, causing lightning and water sparks to fly everywhere. A numbing sensation made Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrow. My sacred lightning body has a strong resistance against the elements of ice and water right now. However, this rain of light also has a corrosive property. Zhao Feng closed his eyes and sensed it. He could use his body to block the rain of light head-on. Normal Void God Realm kings wouldn't even have this ability. A layer of silver-purple spatial ripple appeared on Nan Gongsheng's body and devoured the blue rain of light. Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but feel envious. Zhao Feng had such a strong body after recultivating this time. Zhao Feng didn't need to use any true yuan. He could block the rain of light with his sacred lightning body alone. This wasn't just because of the sacred lightning body's strong body. It was also related to the water of wind lightning that Zhao Feng cultivated. At the moment, he was using the water of wind lightning to strengthen his body, so he had a strong resistance against the elements of ice and water. However, even then, Zhao Feng's body also felt a piercing pain and coldness, making him slightly uncomfortable. However, Zhao Feng still used his body to block the rain of light head-on. He didn't use any true yuan. Ha ha ha. Ninth Prince. If this continues, all your subordinates will die. Wei Jing, who was covered in blue scales, floated in the center of the rain of light. Everywhere he passed, the rain of light would form a storm. Occasionally, some of the Imperial's elites would die. These elites formed an array and blocked the rain of light together. Wei Jing purposely used the rain of blue light to slowly torture these people and put more pressure on the Ninth Prince. Ninth Prince? No wonder he looks familiar. Zhao Feng started to think. Only now did he realize that the Ninth Prince and the Eighth Prince Zhou Lu shared a similar appearance. However, the Ninth Prince's talent and strength surpassed the Eighth Prince and the 13th Prince he saw not long ago. Wei Jing. You come from the 4-star Dark Capital cult and are ranked 9th on the Imperial Genius rankings, but you dare to ambush me while I'm fighting the Sky Snake King? The purple and green-robed 9th Prince said through gritted teeth. The 9th Prince's cultivation was close to a peak-tier king, and the ancient green lightning sword in his hand was an inheritance sacred weapon that wasn't any weaker than Nan Gongsheng's Qiankuan sword. Arg! Screams sounded from the crowd that was engulfed by the rain of light. All the elites below the Great Origin Core realm died in the rain of light, and this was under Wei Jing's purposeful torture. Whoosh! Whoosh! The silver and purple light that Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were in moved in another direction to avoid getting close to Wei Jing. Humph, two little bugs. Wei Jing's blue eyes glanced coldly at Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. However, his focus was on the 9th Prince, so he only controlled the rain to trap Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng felt the pressure increase dramatically. Whoosh! 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 The rain of light formed a whirlpool that pulled at the two. Zhao Feng, if we team up, we can break through this rain of light. Nan Gongsheng said in a deep tone. Wei Jing's strength was too strong, and he might even be comparable to an emperor. Nan Gongsheng didn't want to offend him. There's no rush. Zhao Feng was calm, and a ripple of water of wind lightning occasionally appeared on his silver and blue metallic body. Nan Gongsheng revealed an expression of disbelief when he sensed that something was wrong. At this moment, the aura radiating from Zhao Feng's body was becoming more condensed and stronger. The blue rain of light landed on Zhao Feng's body and started to wear it down. Some of it even seeped into his body. Zhao Feng occasionally circulated the water of wind lightning so that the rain of light was more evenly distributed and seeped into his body. Next, Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng remained within the rain of light. They didn't get close to Wei Jing, but they didn't leave the range of the rain of light. The feeling they gave off was that Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain was trying to resist and struggle. I'm sorry for dragging you two into this. The 9th Prince, who was flying away, said apologetically. Although he was strong, he was heavily injured by Wei Jing's sneak attack and could only run. The 9th Prince could only hope that he could meet other human experts. However, even if he met normal elites, they would probably be caught in the crossfire when facing Wei Jing, who was ranked 9th on the Imperial Genius rankings. It's fine, Nan Gongxing said. He was a space elemental domain-level king, and he had the evil god crystal and substandard god crystals within his body. As long as he wasn't attacked by Wei Jing head-on, the Rain of Light was nothing. In reality, if it weren't for the fact that Zhao Feng wanted to stay behind, they would have left Wei Jing's domain already. The 9th prince felt that something was wrong from Nan Gongxing's and Zhao Feng's emotionless expressions. The purple-haired duo seemed to be struggling, but they didn't seem to be afraid of death. In fact, the expressions on their faces could even be considered calm. I am the 9th prince of the Great Gan Lord dynasty, Zhou Ziheng. May I ask your names and if we can work together to force back this non-human enemy? The green battle-robed male took a deep breath and said in a solemn tone. He found that the purple-haired duo weren't weak. The youth in black was a space elemental domain-level king, and the purple-haired youth was able to block the rain of light with just his physical body. Nan Gongxing. The black-clothed youth answered simply. Zhao Feng. The purple-haired youth was expressionless. But now isn't the time to team up. Let's run a bit longer. Hearing that, the 9th prince's face twitched. That youth said it so casually, let's run a bit longer. Wait. What's that youth doing? The 9th prince felt that something was wrong. Through the overlapping images, the purple-haired youth seemed to be bathing in the rain of light. He seemed to be in pain, but he also seemed to be enjoying it. The ancient dream realm spiritual fruit from before has been digested. Zhao Feng closed his eyes. Wei Jing's innate ability, the blue rain of light, was of the element of ice corrosion. At the moment, Zhao Feng was using the water of wind lightning to refine his physical body. Right now, his sacred lightning body was facing the bottleneck of the peak 4th level. He was just a tiny bit away from breaking through. Whoosh! Whoosh! The blue rain of light flowed around Zhao Feng's body, and it was accompanied by wisps of lightning. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng was using every second he had to circulate his sacred lightning body and wind lightning technique. He was using the blue rain to refine his body as much as possible. This junior is too crazy. He dares to use Wei Jing's natural talent to refine his physical body. The 9th prince took a deep breath. Half the time it took to make tea later, when within the spatial domain, Zhao Feng's body glowed with silver blue light. His physical force crackled around him, making him seem like polished metal. His entire body seemed extremely heavy. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng's powerful physical body made Nan Gongxing next to him feel pressured. Sacred lightning body, peak 4th level. Zhao Feng had a joyful expression as the aura of his physical body suddenly increased. When with one move and one thought, his powerful physical strength created an invisible barrier that repelled the blue rain of light around him. That brat! Wei Jing finally felt that something was wrong within the blue rain. He didn't even look at Zhao Feng, who was only at the small origin core realm, seriously before, even though Zhao Feng's physical body was strong. After all, there were many non-human races with powerful bloodlines and bodies. What a human bastard! He dares to use my natural talent domain to refine his physical body. Anger appeared on Wei Jing's face. This kind of thing happened to him, it was a kind of humiliation. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body had broken through to the peak 4th level, and he could fight against normal kings with just his physical body alone. If he could break through to the 5th level with this foundation, Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body would be able to dominate those at the king level. Brother, you're so brave. The 9th prince couldn't help but admire Zhao Feng. Any other origin core realm wouldn't even be able to run away from Wei Jing, let alone use his natural talent to refine his physical body. Chapter 817. What a damn human bastard. How dare you use my domain to refine your body? Wei Jing laughed coldly in his heart as he became enraged. Who was Wei Jing to allow a human brat to take advantage of him? Whoosh! 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 A storm of blue light enveloped Xiao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Not good. Nan Gongsheng felt his spatial domain being fiercely attacked and eroded. This time, Wei Jing purposely controlled the power of his domain to target the two of them. Its power was enough to kill normal Void God Realm kings. Just the domain of his bloodline already has such power. Xiao Feng couldn't help but be moved. In his previous life, his Mystic Ice scaled race bloodline also had a Mystic Ice domain that would freeze anything that got close to it. Ding! 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 A layer of physical force appeared around Xiao Feng's body, and as the whirlwind of blue light washed over him, it created sparks of light. It was as if there was an invisible barrier protecting Xiao Feng's body. Even though the rain of blue light was weakened after passing through the barrier, it wasn't able to threaten Xiao Feng's peak 4th level sacred lightning body. Of course. The pressure on Nan Gongsheng was even greater. The dark blue rain continued to wash over him. His space domain and Yuan Qi were being greatly consumed at every moment. Whoosh! 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 The storm of light forcefully restricted Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain. Xiao Feng, it'll be troublesome if you don't run away now. Nan Gongsheng found it hard to breathe. He wasn't like Xiao Feng, who had a strong physical defense and was extremely resistant against ice and water-type attacks. My two brothers, would you like to join me and fight against this powerful enemy of the foreign races? The 9th prince's eyes were filled with admiration as he asked Xiao Feng and Nan Gongsheng. Sure. Xiao Feng nodded his head. Hearing that, the 9th prince couldn't help but reveal a joyful expression. With the help of these two, he and Wei Jing would at least be able to fight back. Break! As soon as he finished speaking, a domineering and disdainful physique rune swept out in all directions. Pang! The blue light rain in the surroundings was either shattered or repelled by his powerful physique. Retreat! Xiao Feng and Nan Gongsheng suddenly turned around and flashed away from the blue rain of light, enveloped by a layer of silver and purple light. During this process, Xiao Feng activated the power of his sacred body to suppress and repel the blue light rain around him. He was responsible for opening the way. This scene almost made the green-robed 9th prince spit out blood. Originally, he was admiring the purple-haired youth's courage. He did not expect the other party to immediately run away after increasing his strength. Even Wei Jing was stunned for a moment. In a flash. With the combined efforts of Xiao Feng and Nan Gongsheng, they charged out of the blue rain in another direction. Humph! Don't even think about escaping. Wei Jing coldly shouted, and the temperature of the blue rain that enveloped the void plummeted. Everything in his field of vision quickly froze. See! A layer of frost started to form around Xiao Feng and Nan Gongsheng as they ran away. At this moment, the corrosiveness of the blue rain had decreased, and its freezing ability had increased dramatically. It was similar to the Mystic Ice domain from Xiao Feng's previous life. Xiao Feng, what do we do now? Nan Gongsheng's expression changed dramatically. Although he had spatial talents, he wasn't omnipotent. After all, the two of them were in each other's bloodline domains and were restricted. Ice Imperial Spear. Xiao Feng's expression didn't change as a layer of ice blue liquid spun several yards around him and formed an ice blue barrier that covered him and Nan Gongsheng. Nan Gongsheng felt the pressure decrease. The ice blue barrier was transparent, and it was similar to the blue rain in the outside world. Xiao Feng had used his ice-water bloodline to turn the Ice Imperial Spear into an ice barrier. Ice-water transformation. When the icy blue rain from the outside hit the icy blue barrier, ripples spread out and even showed signs of merging with each other. That brat actually specializes in the laws of ice and water, and he has an ice-type bloodline. Wei Jing was surprised. Furthermore, Zhao Feng's ice imperial spear was very creative and had many different forms. Water of wind lightning. A faint smile formed on Zhao Feng's face as a ripple of water and lightning appeared on the surface of the barrier. He obviously had something to rely on since he dared to refine his body in Wei Jing's domain. Firstly, Wei Jing's main target was the 9th prince, who was stronger than him. Furthermore, his sacred body, bloodline, and ice imperial spear could neutralize the power of this innate domain. Whoosh! At this moment, the ice-blue barrier of water and lightning protected the two and created a path through the blue rain. Great! Nan Gongseng felt much more relaxed, and he circulated a layer of silver and purple light to quickly escape the range of the blue rain. Interesting. Wei Jing was a little surprised. He didn't expect Zhao Feng and Nan Gongseng to break through their domains so easily. These two brats. The 9th prince was enraged, but there was nothing he could do. After all, he was the one who had brought Wei Jing to Zhao Feng and Nan Gongseng. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongseng obviously didn't have the obligation to help him fight against the non-humans. Whoosh! Whoosh! The layer of silver and purple light took Zhao Feng and Nan Gongseng away from the blue rain and Wei Jing. A bitter smile appeared on the 9th prince's face. More than half of the elites in his group had been killed, and only a few half-step kings and great origin core realms were still holding on. 9th prince, if you want to escape, then fly towards the southwest. A weird voice sounded in the 9th prince's mind. You. The 9th prince was stunned, and he looked deeply at Zhao Feng. He was a domain-level king, and the other party's mastery of the Tao of the soul had reached such a high level that the latter's voice could enter his soul. This purple-haired youth used Wei Jing's domain to refine his body and easily escaped. The 9th prince felt that the other party was immeasurable. There was another person among the geniuses on the Great Qian Imperial ranking who gave him a similar feeling. Thinking up to there, the 9th prince decided to believe what Zhao Feng said. Whoosh! Lightning crisscrossed around his body as he turned into a streak of sword light and flew toward the southwest. He's running so fast. Wei Jing revealed a weird expression as a wave of blue light radiated from his body as he chased after the 9th prince. The 9th prince's strength and identity weren't something the other two human juniors could be compared to. Once the 9th prince recovered from his injuries and recovered his yuan qi, he would be a big threat to the 9th prince. However, in the near future, Wei Jing would regret this decision. If he had another chance, he would definitely chase after Zhao Feng. Whoosh! The 9th prince flew for several thousand miles and saw the vague figures of humans ahead. They were obviously outsiders that had entered the divine illusion dimension. Who's there? One or two void god realm auras appeared in the forest in front of them. Brother Jiang, Brother Shi. The 9th prince looked over and recognized that it was Jiang Chen from the Jiang family and a king genius from the Shi family. 9th prince? Jiang Chen and the 9th prince were originally following the purple-haired bandits, but they didn't expect to meet the 9th prince. The outsider genius, Wei Jing, is chasing after me. Everyone, please lend me a hand. The 9th prince exclaimed. Wei Jing. The Blue Serpent King, ranked 9th on the Imperial Genius rankings. Hearing this, the expressions of Jiang Chen and the 9th prince changed dramatically. However, they didn't retreat. They quickly took out a message talisman and crushed it, causing a multicolored light to light up heaven and earth. Human bastards, die together. The Blue Serpent King Wei Jing laughed as he charged toward the 9th prince and company with a wave of blue light. Whoosh! Whoosh! Wherever the wave of blue light passed, everything turned into ice and shattered. As expected of the Blue Serpent King. The expressions of Jiang Chen and the King Genius from the Shi family changed dramatically as they felt the power of the ancient Ice Blue Dragon's bloodline. Just one wave of the bloodline domain was enough to make Jiang Chen and the 9th prince's bodies go cold, and they found it hard to breathe. Jiang Chen was a domain-level king and had the ability to resist. On the other hand, the king genius from the Shi family was covered in a layer of ice, and some parts of his body had already started to rot. Save me. The king genius from the Shi family was in a life-and-death situation. The blue serpent king Wei Jing's senses were extremely strong, and he could feel some powerful auras approaching. One of the auras made even his bloodline feel uneasy. Therefore, he didn't show any mercy. Sky Lightning 9 God Tribulation Slash. The ninth prince forcefully suppressed his injuries and slashed out with the ancient green lightning sword in his hand. Streaks of dark lightning shook heaven and earth as they charged at Wei Jing's bloodline domain. Shua! The blue rain that filled the sky was instantly sliced open, leaving a huge chasm in the sky. Although the ninth prince's sacred sword of lightning was close to the power of an emperor, it wasn't able to stop the blue serpent king's attacks. The blue serpent king Wei Jing's body was covered in a thick layer of blue scales. His body was comparable to the body of an ancient dragon, and he could ignore the attacks of normal domain-level kings. After the ninth prince's lightning sword sliced through the wave of blue light, the remaining power wasn't enough to threaten Wei Jing. Furthermore, Wei Jing's bloodline increased his speed in the wind and rain, and he was as fast as teleportation. Arg! A miserable shriek rang out as the genius king of the Shi family was torn to pieces by a large blue ice claw. The king genius from the Shi family was instantly killed with one claw. It's the blue serpent king Wei Jing. Right at this moment, the 13th prince, the wrinkled elder, and some other kings and half-step kings arrived. At the same time, in the distance, whoosh, a beautiful and lustrous purple figure flew over while carrying an enormous and shocking fluctuation of the origin energy of heaven and earth. What a shocking bloodline aura! That female is Zhao Yufei, who has the bloodline of the spiritual race. This female is the threat that the Dark Moon Lord dynasty and the Dark Capital cult want to get rid of. The blue serpent king Wei Jing glanced at the purple figure with the corner of his eyes, and a cold light flashed through his eyes. Chapter 8:18. The area where the blue serpent king Wei Jing was at was covered in multicolored light that could be seen from far away. Whoosh! 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 Surges of powerful auras were quickly closing in. Ha ha ha, have you found the purple-haired bandits? A bald male wearing a black battle robe roared as he closed in at his fastest speed. There were also kings and half-step kings from Grand Duke Yuan's palace, the Dong family, the Shi family, and other forces on their way. The first to arrive were Zhao Yufei, the wrinkled elder, and the 13th prince. Brother Feng, have you appeared? The purple shadow that Zhao Yufei had transformed into was dazzling and dazzling. She was the fastest among everyone. Behind her, a pair of flaming black wings spread behind Jiao Wuji's back as he summoned a chaotic gust of wind and surrounded them from another direction. The geniuses of the other forces saw the signal and thought that they had found the purple-haired bandits. However, when they arrived, they realized that something wasn't right. The aura of the target was extremely strong, and it made their bloodlines and bodies tremble. Brother Ninth Prince, why are you here? Oh my god, the number one genius of the Shi family, Shi Xian, died at the hands of the Blue Serpent King. Some geniuses couldn't help but exclaim from afar. Zhao Yufei and Jiao Wuji also paused as they felt the terrifying aura of the Blue Serpent King Wei Jing. Whoosh! 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 Many experts flew through the air and surrounded the Blue Serpent King Wei Jing. What's going on? Did I fall into a trap set up by the Great Gan Lord Dynasty geniuses? The Blue Serpent King Wei Jing was slightly dazed. He had just killed a king-tier genius, yet so many experts had suddenly appeared nearby. Great! But, who are the purple-haired bandits? The ninth prince was overjoyed and puzzled. It was as if the current situation had a sense of coincidence. The purple-haired bandits, could they be? The Blue Serpent King Wei Jing couldn't help but think back to the purple-haired youth that had escaped from his domain. No wonder. The ninth prince soon understood that it was the purple-haired youth, Zhao Feng, who had told him to run in this direction. In the end, he really did encounter a reinforcement army with a powerful lineup. In reality, these elite powerhouses had intended to join forces to annihilate the purple-haired thieves. Everyone, let's work together and kill the Blue Flood Dragon King Wei Jing. The ninth prince's blood boiled, and his battle-intent soared. The ancient green lightning sword in his hand slashed out a net of lightning sword threads that slashed and trapped Wei Jing. At this moment, his goal was no longer to escape, but to do his best to keep Wei Jing here. Heaven rank incomplete style, 1000 decay palm. The wrinkled elder next to the ninth prince slowly clapped his hands together, and an enormous, blurry, gray palm shadow entered the Blue Serpent King's bloodline domain. Not good. The Blue Serpent King Wei Jing's expression changed slightly. He could feel his bloodline domain weakening. That power was about to affect his powerful Blue Serpent bloodline. The wrinkled elder was the 13th prince's bodyguard, and he was personally appointed by the great sacred emperor. He was an elite amongst those of the same cultivation level. The Saint Emperor's sword. A bright golden sword appeared in the 13th prince's hand, and wisps of dragon-like sword chi shot into the sky. In an instant, a majestic emperor's sword shot toward the Blue Serpent King. What was incredible was that the pressure from the Saint Emperor's sword was comparable to an emperor's. Even though the 13th prince was a half-step king, the power of this attack was close to that of an emperor. Shua! The bright sword light surrounded by dragon-like carvings slashed into the blue rain domain and left behind a bloody gash on Wei Jing's blue scales. As expected of the Saint Emperor's sword. What terrifying battle power! If this was the Great Gon Lord dynasty, this sword could use the 9-5 Supreme Dragon Providence, and its power would double. The nearby experts and elites were all shocked to the core. After all, the 13th prince was only a half-step king, yet he was able to unleash such power with the Saint Emperor's sword. Ha ha ha! Die, thieving dragon! The 13th prince roared into the sky. He wanted to show off in front of Zhao Yufei. Right at this moment, Zhao Yufei flashed through the air. Whoosh! The purple silhouette that was flying over from afar suddenly began to burn. It was like a vast purple flame meteor that shook the yuan qi of this part of the world. At the same time, a solidified purple dimension seemed to appear when the purple meteor smashed over. Little world. The Blue Serpent King Wei Jing's expression changed dramatically. His domain was instantly suppressed. Boom! An explosion that shook the 9 heavens sounded in the air, and a giant crater with a diameter of 1,000 yards was left behind. Is this Zhao Yufei's true strength? How much potential does the bloodline of the spiritual race, ranked 19th among the 10,000 ancient races, have? The wrinkled elder couldn't help but be surprised as he tried to stop it. Whoosh! 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 More and more experts arrived. The 9th prince, the experts of the Jiang family, the Dong family, Grand Duke Yuan's palace, and other forces all attacked. Demonic sky palm. A bald figure with demonic wings descended from the sky. One of his arms started to burn and expand, turning into a giant black hand that could pierce through heaven and earth. Boom! The enormous hand of the demonic heavens drew forth boundless and surging black cloud flame energy. With a wave of it, the heavens and the earth split apart, and its might was tremendous. Jiu Wuji's powerful attack was a sneak attack from behind. Furthermore, it was the Blue Serpent King who was at his weakest after being attacked by Zhao Yufei, the 9th prince, the 13th prince, and the wrinkled elder. Bam! A tall figure with blue scales was pushed back and spat out a mouthful of blood. Preposterous! The Blue Serpent King Wei Jing roared in anger. He had somehow fallen into an ambush by the human experts and was surrounded by so many peak geniuses of the Great Gon Lord dynasty. Just the first round of attacks had injured him. This Wei Jing is a peerless genius of the Dark Capital cult. Leave him here. Everyone knows that one of the main reasons why the Dark Moon Lord dynasty can fight against the Great Gon Lord dynasty is because of the support of the 4-star Dark Capital cult. The surrounding geniuses of the Great Gon Lord dynasty attacked. Amongst them, Zhao Yufei, Jiu Wuji, and the 9th Prince were the main force and fought the Blue Serpent Dragon head-on. No matter how strong the Blue Serpent King Wei Jing was, he couldn't stop so many geniuses and elites. If the 9th Prince was at his peak, he would be able to exchange dozens of blows with him. Zhao Yufei's true strength had exceeded his expectations. She even had a little world. The 13th Prince's sacred imperial sword was unstoppable. "Human bastards, don't let me see you alone." Wei Jing roared as he suppressed his anger. A dark blue mist appeared around his body as he turned into a giant blue ice serpent. He charged out an opening in the sky along with the howling blue freezing rain. After Wei Jing turned into a blue ice serpent, his physical defense and battle power became stronger. Everyone stared blankly as he forcefully smashed through a gap, turned into a blue dot of light, and tore through the sky. "We still let him get away." The 9th Prince had a slightly regretful expression. As expected of the Ice Serpent Emperor bloodline, which is ranked in the top 10 of the Imperial Dao bloodlines. It's similar to the Mystic Ice-scaled race bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races. The wrinkled elder murmured in a deep tone. The Imperial Dao bloodlines had a total of 500 powerful bloodlines within the Lord dynasty and the surrounding areas. The difference between this Imperial Dao bloodline and the 10,000 ancient races bloodlines was that new bloodlines had been created since the ancient times. "Brother 9th Prince, why are you being chased by Wei Jing? You're ranked 13th on the Imperial Dao bloodline. How did you lose so badly?" The 13th Prince had a weird expression. Faintly, there was a hint of mockery and schadenfreude in his voice. Although the 9th Prince had great talent and potential, his background was average. He could even be considered half an illegitimate child. On the other hand, the 13th Prince had a noble background and was loved by the Sacred Emperor. "Everyone, I'm here to bring you an important piece of news," the 9th Prince said in a solemn tone. He didn't want to explain how he was being chased by Wei Jing. Firstly, he was ambushed by Wei Jing. Secondly, there was a clear difference in strength between them. Important news? Everyone became silent as they waited for the 9th Prince's reply. "This is related to the ancient god's mysterious palace and the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon that appeared not long ago." The 9th Prince took a deep breath. Ancient god's mysterious palace. Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Hearing that, the hearts of the geniuses shook. The 9th Prince's group of elites found the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's tracks and accidentally found the secret of the ancient god's mysterious palace. However, during the process, they met a powerful beast and was ambushed by the Blue Serpent King, Wei Jing. Ancient god's mysterious palace. I didn't expect the legends to be true. That's the core of the divine illusion dimension. However, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon has the bloodline of the Destruction Dragon race, and its battle power is basically unparalleled in the divine illusion dimension. Some of the people present were overjoyed, but others had worried expressions. At this moment, everyone was discussing and digesting the shock this news brought. "Your Highness, how did you meet up with us? Did you meet anything on the way?" Zhao Yufei asked. In comparison, she was more concerned about some other news. "Oh, that's right. I might have met the purple-haired bandits on the way." The 9th Prince seemed to remember something and quickly said. "You met the purple-haired bandits, 9th Prince?" The eyes of Jiu Wuji, Jiang Chen, and company lit up. Concern appeared in Zhao Yufei's eyes as well. The 9th Prince was stunned. He didn't expect everyone to care so much about the purple-haired bandits to the point of teaming up against them. If it wasn't for that, the Blue Serpent King Wei Jing wouldn't have been defeated so easily. Therefore, the 9th Prince told everyone what happened when he met the purple-haired bandits in detail. These purple-haired bandits aren't just weird. They dared to use the Blue Serpent King's domain to refine their bodies and increase their strength. These two bandits took advantage of the Blue Serpent King and were still able to retreat. Everyone felt that this was unbelievable. Imperceptibly, the two purple-haired bandits were hard to deal with and their personal image had changed in everyone's hearts. It was as if these two bandits would cause trouble wherever they went and take advantage of others. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng had a new nickname amongst the elites of the Great Gan Lord dynasty, the purple-haired demonic duo. Chapter 8:19. Hearing the ninth prince's explanation, everyone clicked their tongues and felt that it was ridiculous. The purple-haired demonic duo that they had spent so much effort to find had been, coincidentally, met by the ninth prince, and they even acted out a scene with the Blue Serpent King Wei Jing. Your Highness, you've talked to the purple-haired demonic duo before. Do you know their names? Zhao Yufei smiled and asked. Names? The ninth prince said in a reminiscing tone, oh, I remember now. These two said that they were called Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng. That youth called Zhao Feng is extremely mysterious. Nan Gongsheng, Zhao Feng, those are the true names of the purple-haired demonic duo. All the geniuses present remembered them. However, only a small number of people realized that Zhao Yufei's body trembled and her eyes rippled when she heard these two names. Brother Feng, it really is you. Why didn't you tell me who you were? Zhao Yufei's face was filled with both joy and sadness. However, at this moment in time, the focus of the Great Gan Lord dynasty geniuses wasn't the purple-haired demonic duo anymore, but the mysterious palace. 2 days later, at the bottom of a cliff, next to a stream, two purple-haired males sat cross-legged. One was a youth in black clothes, and the other was a handsome youth. There's only 3 left. Zhao Feng took out a spiritual fruit that radiated an ancient aura and swallowed it. In the ancient dream realm spirit fruits on the towering ancient tree had almost all been used up in his previous life. Most of them had been used up in his previous life. Zhao Feng, the little thieving cat, and the child demigod had all used spiritual fruits from the ancient dream realm. At this moment in time after Zhao Feng ate one, there were only 2 left on the tree in the ancient dream realm. The spiritual fruits from the ancient dream realm could purify one's bloodline and true yuan, strengthen one's body, and it had a pretty good effect on bloodlines. But if I want to use these 2 or 3 spiritual fruits from the ancient dream realm to break through to the 5th level of the Golden Kun sacred lightning body, I'm still lacking a bit of foundation. Zhao Feng could not help but ponder. Only by breaking through to the 5th level of the sacred lightning body would Zhao Feng have the ability to fight against the peak geniuses in the divine illusion dimension. Right now, Nan Gongsheng was the main force of the duo, and Zhao Feng was the support. Of course, the effects of the Dreamland Spirit Fruit were more comprehensive. Its purifying effects targeted bloodline, body, true yuan, and even the soul. Just because the threshold of the 5th floor was too high, and Zhao Feng's foundation wasn't strong enough. He wasn't like the child demigod, who had revived from a drop of blood and inherited the bloodline of a demigod. After his Golden Kun sacred lightning body reached the pinnacle of the 4th level, Zhao Feng's speed of digesting the spirit fruit from the dream realm had increased significantly. This time, Zhao Feng merged a portion of the spirit fruit's effects into the mutated imperial bloodline of this body. He discovered that this kind of imperial bloodline was masculine, domineering, and had astonishing explosive power. Moreover, it had powerful corrosive and burning properties. This imperial bloodline combined with Zhao Feng's sacred body was like adding wings to a tiger. At the same time, Zhao Feng realized that the growth of this bloodline had reached a bottleneck, which was why he did this. A layer of glass-like red flames appeared on the surface of Zhao Feng's body, and it radiated a scorching heat that flowed through Zhao Feng's body. Immediately after that, the glass-like red bloodline power started to digest the essence of the Dreamland Spirit Fruit. Under the effect of burning his bloodline, the speed at which the Dreamland Spirit Fruit was digested increased dramatically. Hu Xiaofeng was reborn in the flames, and his entire body gave off a glass-like feeling, as if he were a flaming demonic sovereign. At a certain moment the blood devil sun bloodline within Zhao Feng's body started to boil like boiling water. Hu Xiaofeng's body was surrounded by a glass-like flame that seemed to be dripping blood. His bloodline aura was even more dominant. The invisible bloodline aura made the ancient beasts within several hundred miles tremble uneasily. Could Zhao Feng's bloodline have awakened and returned to its ancestral state? Nan Gongsheng revealed a weird expression. In this period of time, the evil god crystal's fusion with Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain increased. Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain was severely eroded when he fought with Wei Jing. However, the substandard god crystals within the evil god crystal provided him with even more power to repair and strengthen his domain. Nan Gongsheng's true Yuan dimension radiated an even stronger aura. Compared to when he first entered the divine illusion dimension, Nan Gongsheng's strength had increased by more than 50%. However, at this moment in time, the breakthrough of Zhao Feng's bloodline aura made Nan Gongsheng, who was next to him, feel a burning uneasiness. If it weren't for the fact that they were allies, Nan Gongsheng would have pulled away already. When the figure of a blood-red sun suddenly appeared behind the flames that Zhao Feng was bathed in. There seemed to be a whirlpool within it that spun. All of a sudden, Nan Gongsheng and the nearby ancient beings all felt their blood boil, and they started to tremble in fear and panic. Success! This mutated blood devil sun bloodline has changed and returned to its ancestral state. Zhao Feng murmured. He took a deep breath and let the bloodline aura of the blood devil sun bloodline slowly retract into his body. Congratulations, Zhao Feng. Your strength has increased again. I wonder how powerful your bloodline will be after it's upgraded. Nan Gongsheng said with interest. He was obviously very concerned about the strength and bloodline of his ally. Naturally, the two of them would not spar with each other in this dangerous environment. Let's find some powerful beasts and test it out. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng disappeared from the cliff in a flash of silver and purple. A while later, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng appeared in front of a forest. See, it was a four-winged, fat insect the size of a house, and it was covered in thick fur. That seems to be a mutated ancient Yao insect. Nan Gongsheng warned. The aura radiating from the insect was comparable to a half-step king, and it could release a lethal poison. However, Nan Gongsheng's nose ring could filter out the poison, and Zhao Feng's golden Kuan sacred lightning body was immune to all poisons. Bam! In order to test the power of his bloodline, Zhao Feng lightly punched out. He was afraid that if he used too much force, he would be able to smash the insect into meat paste with just his sacred body alone. When a glass-like flame appeared on Zhao Feng's fist, and it was filled with a scorching aura. Reality proved that Zhao Feng's worries were unnecessary. The fat insect's body was extremely strong, and it was covered in fur that could slow down the force. Therefore, Zhao Feng's physical strength wasn't able to critically injure the fat insect. Most of the force was slowed down. However, what happened next made Nan Gongsheng's mouth open. Shwa! Whoosh! The fat insect screamed as its body was instantly ignited by the glass-like flame, and it turned into ashes under the power of Zhao Feng's bloodline. So strong! Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but exclaim. Zhao Feng had only used 30 to 40% of his sacred body's power in that punch just now. It wasn't enough to threaten a ball of flesh like the flying insect. However, the other 30 to 40% of his bloodline power unleashed explosive power. This mutated blood devil sun bloodline's explosive power increases dramatically, and it seems to have an ignition effect. Zhao Feng murmured. Ignition effect? Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but take in a cold breath as he repeated the word ignition. In that instant just now, Zhao Feng's bloodline attack had ignited the body of the flying insect. The effect of ignition, coupled with the ferocity and explosiveness of his bloodline and body, was simply insane. Most likely, anything below the Void God realm would be instantly ignited and turned into ashes under Zhao Feng's bloodline power. It seems like that's not all. Zhao Feng couldn't help but think. When he destroyed the flying insect, he felt a weird warmth nourish his body. However, because the fat insect had died too quickly, that feeling was soon cut off. He couldn't find a more suitable target in this area. The original Blood Devil Sun bloodline was ranked 81st among the Imperial Dao bloodlines, which was very high. Now that I've been strengthened and mutated many times, I wonder how much higher its ranking will be. Zhao Feng was very satisfied with what he sensed. Right at this moment, the sound of Yuan Qi battling came from a surging river in front of them, and it was accompanied by the flash of treasures. Everyone, get out of the way. This river-devouring Kuan is a rare water elemental beast that contains the bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races. We can't fight it head-on, a middle-aged domain-level king in yellow robes exclaimed. Rumble. Boom. A giant beast could be faintly seen. It looked like a crocodile, but not a crocodile, and a fish, but not a fish. This beast was as big as a mountain, and lightning crackled as it breathed. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng looked at each other, and a layer of silver-purple light enveloped them as they quickly closed in. Even from far away, the river-devouring Kuan's size and aura made their hearts tremble. At this moment in time, there were a total of 3 Void God Realm kings leading more than a dozen half-step kings. There were also many geniuses and elites fighting against the river-devouring Kuan. Boom! The river-devouring Kuan opened its mouth and spat out a roaring river. Arg! Several screams sounded as several geniuses and elites were swept away by the wave and disappeared. The river-devouring Kuan inhaled once more, sucking away all the water and air in the area. Arg! The experts below the Void God Realm were sucked into the river-devouring Kuan's body like pieces of paper. This shocking talent and ability made Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng click their tongues. The river-devouring Kuan was only at the middle stages of the Void God Realm, but it was able to suppress the yellow-robed middle-aged man and the other 2 kings. This was due to its large size and the power of its 10,000 ancient races bloodline. If we had known this would happen, we wouldn't have fought with Xian Wuheng, and we would have been able to take care of the river-devouring Kuan and obtain the treasures. One of the white-robed youths smiled bitterly. The other black-clothed youth had a gloomy expression as he remained silent. Whoosh! Whoosh! As the 3 kings were struggling, a layer of silver-purple light quickly closed in. Zhao Feng, this river-devouring Kuan also has the talent of space. Are you sure you want to attack it? Nan Gongsheng's expression was solemn as he approached. The river-devouring Kuan could spit out rivers with every breath it took. It had its own universe within its body, and it had the talent of space. Who said we were going to attack it? Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye saw a cave at the bottom of the river that gave off a treasure light. Plop! The silver-purple light enveloping the 2 of them was pushed by their powerful physiques and forcefully drilled into the waves that swallowed and spat out the river. Don't even think about it. Preposterous. The yellow-robed middle-aged man and the other 2 kings almost spat out a mouthful of blood. They were working so hard to block the river-devouring Kuan, but these 2 brats were stealing the treasures under the water. How could it be so easy? Chapter 820. Between the waves, the river-devouring Kuan swallowed and spat out giant waves with every breath. Its aura covered the mountains and rivers, and it was extremely powerful. The yellow-robed middle-aged man, the youth in black, and the youth in white, 3 Void God Realms teamed up, and they also had the support of the elites behind them. However, even then, the humans were still at a disadvantage. At this critical moment, a layer of silver-purple light covered 2 figures and dove into the depths of the river. How can we let outsiders take advantage of the treasures at the bottom of the river? The youth in black was enraged. Earlier, they had lost to Xian Wuheng in the competition for the blue crystal tier. It was a huge loss. And now, These two unknown kids also wanted to steal their profits. There's no rush. Cunning flashed through the eyes of the yellow-robed middle-aged man. If we enter the river, we'll have to bear the power of the river-devouring Kuan. We were just worried that no one could enter and take the treasures. Hearing that, the eyes of the youth in white and the youth in black both lit up. Even if those two manage to take the treasures, they'll expend a lot of yuan qi. However, we have the elites of the three sects behind us. At that time, we can work together to kill those two. The yellow-robed middle-aged man had a smug expression. That's right. Those two thieves are only a king. After they take the treasures, they'll benefit us. The youth in black and white nodded their heads. The current situation, the three kings and Zhao Feng were just using each other. The former could temporarily stall the river-devouring Kuan, while the latter needed to spend some effort to take the treasures at the bottom of the river. Plop! Gulu! Gulu! In the depths of the river, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng were covered in a layer of silver-purple light. Boom! Hoo! As the two advanced, they would face the power of the river-devouring Kuan. Every time the river-devouring Kuan inhaled and exhaled, it would contain the majestic power of a river. The river-devouring Kuan's power is mainly the element of space and water. Zhao Feng analyzed. These two elements were perfect for him and Nan Gongsheng. It was because of this that the two of them dared to snatch the meat from the tiger's mouth so brazenly. However, under the supervision of the other three kings, Zhao Feng only circulated a portion of his physical power to help them move forward. Nan Gongsheng's strength had increased again compared to a few days ago. For a short period of time, Nan Gongsheng blocked most of the power by himself. The evil god crystal's compatibility with Nan Gongsheng is getting higher and higher. Sooner or later, their powers will be inseparable, and at that time, Zhao Feng made some deductions in his heart. The river in front of him was vast and extremely deep. Once they reached a certain depth, the three kings' monitoring abilities dropped dramatically. At this moment, Zhao Feng used the Ice Imperial Spear to form an icy barrier to protect the two of them. The duo's space and water bloodlines merged into one, greatly reducing their energy consumption and increasing their speed. Such a strong treasure aura. As they got closer, the two of them sensed an enormous treasure aura. Not long after, there was a cave at the bottom of the river that was overflowing with treasure light. Water origin energy howled as it entered the two's field of vision. What kind of treasure is this? Nan Gongsheng and Zhao Feng looked at each other, and the latter opened his left eye. With Zhao Feng's see-through ability, he could see everything within the cave. The entire cave was made of a pure white stone wall. The value of the stone wall alone was comparable to normal Earth-grade weapons. In the deepest part of the cave, there was a pure white lotus that was as clear as crystal. The surging water yuan qi vibration originated from this pure white lotus of light. Water-type treasure, sky water crystal lotus. Zhao Feng's heart shook, and surprise appeared in his eyes. The sky water crystal lotus sounded like it belonged to the plant type, but in reality, it crossed over both the plant type and the metal type. Simply put, it was a water-type treasure that crossed over. Being a water-type treasure, the sky water crystal lotus was a top-tier material for crafting water-type weapons. It could even be used to craft inheritance sacred weapons and heaven-grade weapons. Being a treasure that crossed over, the sky water crystal lotus could be absorbed and cultivated. Its value was even higher than the water mother essence that Zhao Feng had stolen. This sky water crystal lotus is extremely effective whether I merge it into the Ice Imperial Spear or absorb it myself. Zhao Feng's heart jumped. Of course. Apart from the sky water crystal lotus in the depths of the cave, there were also more than a dozen half-transparent, mysterious water pearls. Water soul pearls. Zhao Feng's eyes lit up, and he sighed. Unfortunately, the water soul pearls aren't very effective with my current soul level. The water soul pearls could cleanse, strengthen the soul, and make one's soul intent clear. However, if Zhao Feng wanted to recover his soul level, normal high-tier soul Dao treasures weren't enough. This was because the strength of his soul wasn't normal. Whoosh! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng flew into the cave. After entering the cavern, the two of them were attacked and hindered by the ripples of water. It was the power of the Heaven Water Crystal Lotus, a treasure of the water system. However, the two weren't normal people, and they teamed up to resist the pressure and entered the depths of the cave. Nan Gongsheng, these water soul pearls can help you strengthen your soul and cleanse your intent, Zhao Feng suggested. Zhao Feng gave most of the water soul pearls and some of the water elemental crystals in the cave to Nan Gongsheng. The sky water crystal lotus was too useful to Zhao Feng, so he kept it. Nan Gongsheng didn't object and split the spoils of war. Zhao Feng got his wish and obtained the sky water crystal lotus, but he resisted the urge to use it immediately. This heaven water crystal lotus would definitely be a great boost to his cultivation. Retreat. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng quickly retreated from the cave. In the middle of the raging river, the two of them had to endure the power of River Devour, which expended a lot of energy. As they returned to the surface of the river, they also had to endure the waves of River Devour power. When the River Devour power breathed in and out, it was the opposite of each other, so they had to focus 120%. Even though Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's abilities were perfect for the elements of water and space, normal kings would probably collapse from exhaustion. Bastard, where do you think you're going? A cold roar sounded from the shore at this moment. Boom! At the same time, the powerful aura of the river devouring Kun approached. Not good. The three kings and the river devouring Kun are charging over. Nan Gongsheng's expression changed dramatically as the pressure on him increased dramatically. He had previously thought that the yellow-robed middle-aged man and the other two kings would attack him after reaching the shore. However, Nan Gongsheng didn't expect the river-devouring Kun to attack as well. The battle power of the river-devouring Kun was almost unrivaled against anyone below the emperor level. Even 7 or 8 kings wouldn't be able to do anything to it. This is within my expectations. Zhao Feng had a calm expression. The sky water crystal lotus was a treasure of the water element, and its aura had attracted the attention of the three kings. However, there was also a river-devouring Kun nearby that was responsible for guarding it. The river-devouring Kun had waited for many years and was only waiting for the sky water crystal lotus to mature before taking it. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng would obviously be chased after by the river-devouring Kun after taking the sky water crystal lotus. Ha ha ha. Two thieves. This is the consequence of greed. The yellow-robed middle-aged man and the other two kings roared. The situation instantly changed. The river-devouring Kun and the three kings that were fighting against each other suddenly became allies. Zhao Feng, what do we do now? Nan Gongsheng's spatial domain became a lot of pressure, and his handsome face started to go slightly red. At this moment, Zhao Feng took action. Zhao Feng's left eye suddenly opened within a ripple, and a dreamy purple world appeared. Left eye. Nan Gongsheng was overjoyed. He knew that this was Zhao Feng's killing move. In the next instant, the river-devouring Kun let out a heaven-shaking roar as it suddenly lost control of its emotions and started to attack in a frenzy. Arg! Get out of the way! Why did the river-devouring Kun suddenly go crazy? The yellow-robed middle-aged man and the other two kings had formed an alliance with the river-devouring Kun, but they were suddenly attacked by it. At this moment in time, the three kings and the elites behind them were in chaos. The river-devouring Kun had lost its mind and started to attack in a frenzy, which made it even more dangerous. Whoosh! At the same time, a layer of silver and purple light covered the two males, and they flew into the air above the river. Damn it! Those two brats are going to run. The yellow-robed middle-aged man and the other two were enraged. They didn't expect the river-devouring Kun to be in trouble for no reason. Wait, look at that purple-haired youth. The youth in white couldn't help but exclaim. A limitless purple left eye of the youth within the silver and purple light locked onto the enraged river devouring Kuan. How is this possible? He can control the river devouring Kuan. The river devouring Kuan has the bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races, but he can control it? The three kings were stunned. A wicked smile appeared on the purple-haired youth's face, and he was immeasurably deep. Whoosh! Whoosh! The layer of silver and purple light left the area of the river. Once it left the river devouring Kuan's speed and abilities would decrease. With Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng's speed and strength, there was nothing to worry about. Zhao Feng, I didn't expect you to be able to control the river devouring Kuan and predict the current situation. Nan Gongsheng said in surprise. It was as if Zhao Feng hadn't used his true trump card after entering the divine illusion dimension, and he was still growing. If my soul intent was a bit stronger, I would be able to directly control the river devouring Kuan instead of indirectly controlling it. Zhao Feng shook his head faintly, as if he wasn't satisfied. If he was at his peak, he would be able to directly enslave the river devouring Kuan. Hearing that, Nan Gongsheng couldn't help but click his tongue. From this, one could see how much Zhao Feng's strength would increase if his soul reached the next level. However, it was hard to find enough soul elemental treasures, and normal ones were useless to Zhao Feng. A while later, the river devouring Kuan slowly turned into a small dam, and Zhao Feng lost control of it. After leaving the river, it would be very hard to catch up with the Kuan's clumsy body. Bastard, where do you think you're going? The sound of flying came from behind along with the enraged roars of the three kings. Zhao Feng was surprised. How did the three kings catch up? He focused his gaze. The yellow-robed middle-aged king sat on a weird-looking flaming chariot that had a strong green flame behind it. It was similar to the green shoes that Zhao Feng was wearing. The three kings poured their true yuan into the flaming chariot, making its speed surpass normal kings. That works. Zhao Feng revealed a weird expression. It wasn't hard to guess that the flaming chariot and his shoes were products of the Heaven's Legacy race. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.